Hello and welcome to Hammer's Chat Does Deadline Day. There's 2 hours until the Big Bong. The Big Bong is what Gonzo has been rehearsing for the last couple of hours since our previous show. He's rehearsing the audio noise for us, Tom. How are you feeling, Tom? You good?
Personally, yeah, I'm great. However, for West Ham signings, no, not at all. It's been a weird day, quiet one, typical West Ham.
Well, thank you to everybody for joining us in the live chat. We'll be interacting with you over the 2 hours. We've got a few guests lined up as well. We've got one waiting backstage when I finally click him in. We'll have a little chat to him. We'll see what everybody's thinking of the transfer window, and we'll do our best to keep you up to date with what's going on in the West Ham transfer rumour world in terms of what is being done. Not quite so much, but rumours, there's plenty of them. We've got some confirmed news to talk about, though, so let's get Mike in, and we should start doing that. Mike, how you doing?
Hello, guy. Yeah, very good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, we're not too bad. How are you feeling about the transfer window in general?
Are we just talking about West Ham or in general?
In West Ham. We'll stick with West Ham for now.
It's been highly underwhelming. Look, we've sold some family silver, yeah, and to buy food, and then not bothered to go into Lidl to get the food in, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. We've just we'll sell Diangana because we need to buy a defender. And then we bought the Kufal guy, however you say it, Kufal. I'll leave that down to you pros. But, I mean, at the end of the day, he looked great. But that's 5 million. I mean, we got enough for him, surely, from other people. Anyway, I'm with him. But you've got the idea. We're going to reinvest the Diangana money. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are you worried about the lack of centre-back, Mike? That seemed to be David Moyes' priority. We've not got one as yet, although things could change in the next 2 hours. I'm hoping it does for a bit of excitement, to be honest with you. But if we don't get a centre-back tonight, and therefore we have to look at the Championship, how's that going to go on the old Mike scale?
On the Mike scale, what's that classic word they say in all interviews? I'm relaxed. That's what you say these days, isn't it? I'm relaxed about the state of our transfer business, which is what they mean is I don't care. I'm relaxed about the lack of incoming because I thought the best option we had was the guy from Swansea. I think he looks like a really good player. I've forgotten his name, like Rodon, something like that. Am I right? Yeah. Because I saw bits of him playing. Because I watched a bit of Championship football. I also subscribe to a very good Championship channel that go on about him relentlessly. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Also, he has a bit of pace, and we are enjoying this high line at the moment. So a bit of pace in that back three would be nice. But having said that, even if we don't get him, we seem to be. I mean, we're patchy, we're thin on the ground in squad depth. If you exclude that kind of reserve team with highly expensive players that we have, you know, the ones that the forgotten, the damned, you know what I mean? Those people like Lanzini and Anderson and Yarmolenko and those people. If you leave them out, but even then, when we played in the cup, we tended to have our first team centre backs and some youth. So I'm not that bothered by even though we are thin on the ground, really thin on the ground on the full-back front, and we're really, really, really thin on the ground in midfield now that what's his name's gone. You know, the lad who was on loan forever at Charlton, who's 24, and I shouldn't call him a lad, Josh Cullen. And so he's gone to Anderlecht, is that right?
Yeah, it's just been confirmed.
Right, so that has been confirmed. So if anything happens to Declan Rice, we don't have a defensive midfielder. Right, so that's good. That's good. That's always good to have plan B. He's going to have to play every match of the season and be fit and in form and everything. And he's a class act, but whoa, that's an undertaking and a half, isn't it? So how am I? I'm relaxed because when we sold Diangana and the owners said, we're going to reinvest the money, yeah, really, I instantly went on your videos and commented saying, we're going to sign no one. And I was right. So Cullen knew that's going to happen.
Get your comments in. Well, we'll get on to that in a second, Mike. In the live chat, get your comments in. We've got a question here from James Gunn. He says, thoughts on making a £4 million loss on selling our 4th and 5th choice midfielders? I assume he's referring to Josh Cullen, who's joined Anderlecht for 800,000. And Jack Wilshere, it's been confirmed tonight by Jack Wilshere himself that his contract has been not torn up as such, but he's been given an 85% payment to leave West Ham. So he's received just under 4 million rather than the 5 million he was due over the course of the season. So we've saved £1 million there, but we've paid him £4 million essentially to leave the club. Tom, what do you make of that?
It's alarming, to be honest with you. I wasn't too overly fussed a couple of days ago. I think the issue has always been, I think you tweeted it this week, it's when if the board have assessed it so that the starting 11 are getting results, fair enough. They got back-to-back wins in the Premier League, that's fine. But it's when one of those potential starting players goes down and get injured, we're left with quite a bleak squad at that point, potentially to step in, that haven't been getting minutes in the Premier League. And now that has further sort of, it's got worse now because those players have decided to leave as well, or not decided to leave, but have either been sold or cancelled contracts and stuff. So really, we are on the bare minimum, it seems, especially in many departments now. Not just centre back, not just left back. It's now striker, centre mid. It's quite worrying because we haven't really, other than the Soufal guy, we haven't really strengthened anywhere, and none of this money has been reinvested unless it's trying to go into the championship and buy players in the next couple of weeks. It's very, very, very strange. And again, looking at the deals that happened tonight, I wasn't overly bothered about the centre mid thing. I think maybe we needed a backup potentially. But now to see pretty much we're left with Mark Noble, it's quite alarming, really.
Mike?
Listen, right, at the end of the day, it's almost as if we are run by, you would almost think we're run by people who have no idea what they're doing, wouldn't you? If you looked at this, really, on paper, it looks like we haven't got a clue. Who would have thought it? I mean, clearly, we're run by highly competent professional people who know exactly what they're doing. But to sign a player for free that then ends up costing us $4 million to get rid of, if you pardon the expression, and then to sell our one other midfielder for not very much money to Anderlecht without really giving an opportunity to play in the first team, just seems. And yet, you wouldn't say we're thin on the ground squad-wise if you looked at it on paper. Do you know what I mean? You look on paper, we've got all these great players on the bench. You've got a bench. We always look like we've got a really good bench. A bench of players which Moyes has no intention of ever playing. Do you know what I mean? But they've got great names. Everyone's heard of Anderson, Lanzini, and Yarmolenko, etc., etc. But they're also strengthened in depth in places where we don't really need a lot of depth. Okay, I kind of get Yarmolenko is pretty good for coming on for Bowen for 10 minutes, but he's never really trusted him, and he doesn't trust those players to perform. And when you look at how we are playing in the league at the moment, he might actually have a point. I hate to say this, but he might have a point. But ultimately, we've got a squad that looks good on paper, but in effect, we've got a paper-thin squad with absolutely no one that the manager wants to bring in at any given point for anyone else. And we paid a lot of money to have that. When you're paying money to have players go, then that's the highest level of incompetence in football management you could possibly have. And I'm not even blaming Moyes. I mean, in the running of the club, you know exactly what I mean here, people. And it's just like, it's ridiculous. Could you imagine this in any other walk of life? Like, say you ran a pub and you had barmaids and bar staff. Like, you're so shit at your job, I'm going to give you $1,000 to never come back. It's just extraordinary behaviour. No other business could run in that way. And it's just that no identity, no overall strategy is the word, that we have at all in the transfer market. And this is what happens when you approach it. It's just like we throw out these rods going, oh, quick, get a defender. Let's bid 25 million for him and 20 million for him and 20 million for him. That didn't land. 26 million. How's that sound? Do you know what I mean? It's just like we are clearly being run by some barrow boy from the East End in the transfer market, just throwing out bids at front and centre in the hope there's no plan, there's no strategy, there is no idea. And yet, we somehow have a half-decent first team. Weird.
Yeah, I mean, to sum up what you're saying about no strategy, that Tomori is now our number one target. For those that don't know, Tomori is now our number one target from Chelsea. We're trying to get him in on loan. just under 2 hours to get that done. Rudiger's refusing to leave Chelsea. He doesn't want to come to West Ham. Spurs don't want him. They've moved on. So he's sort of stuck. So it looks like Tomori could be the one that's allowed out. Everton were in pole position to get him, but they've now signed Ben Godfrey, so they don't necessarily need him. So that sort of allows West Ham to approach Tomori if they wish. But the fact is, Tomori is probably about our 20th centre-back we've been linked with. I'm not even sure we want Tomori. I think we just want a centre-back, and he's the one that's A, available, and B, we don't have to pay much money to go get. We can get him on loan. I think it's just an opportunity rather than a player that we're after. I think he's a good centre-back. I think he's raw. I think he'd be a good acquisition for us. My issue is what's going to happen in a year's time. Say he has a really good season at West Ham. We're obviously going to want to buy him. His value would be 20, 30 million or something if he has such a good season at West Ham. We're arguably improving Chelsea's player and adding to his valuation, and Chelsea are going to benefit. And you know what's going to happen in a year's time? Declan Rice is going to come into the conversation. You want Tomori? Well, I'll tell you what, we want Declan, so let's have a chat.
Geo, seriously, is there any point loaning anyone without a clause to buy? We did it okay with Ziyech. We did the right thing. We got him in. We paid the loan fee with proviso that there was the right to buy if we stayed up. I don't know if it's the right or compulsion, but it turned out to be a very good deal. That's how you do it. The thing is, Mike,
we gave Slavia Prague 4 million to have Souček on loan. If we got relegated, it would have cost us 4 million to have Souček on loan for 5 months. It's not cheap. It's a lot of money.
Barkley at Villa for 10 million.
Yes, so Chelsea no mugs.
But Gino, it did kind of work. Souček was worth having, and he was one of the main reasons why we didn't go down. So at that point in January, we had to speculate to stay up. You said so yourself. Well, if you don't invest that bit of money then, you lose an awful lot more money when you go down.
But I don't have faith in us having an option to buy Tomori in that deal, Mike. I just don't, because why would Chelsea...
I agree, and that's why we shouldn't get Tomori in on loan. To start with, I don't think Moyes would start him because he doesn't particularly like playing young centre-halves. He's already said he likes experienced centre-halves, right? And two, even if we did, and as you rightly say, he turns out to be a success, and we did want to go and buy him, well, quite surprised, we can't afford him. So how about Declan? You can have Tomori. If you give us Declan Rice and there's a few million extra, that's what happens.
Yeah, Tomori, what are you saying?
At this point, I think we do need another centre back. So I'd say yes at this point. I think obviously we've saved a lot today, potentially off the wage bill. If Wilshere was on close to 100 grand a week or something like that. So clearly the money's there to have someone like him on loan for a season, I guess. I know it's...
But we haven't saved 100 grand a week, have we? We just gave him 4 million.
Well, that's very true.
What we saved, we've saved 20 grand a week, essentially, when you think about it. You do the maths, we've saved £20,000 a week.
Yeah, Tomori can't be on massive wages, though, as well.
No.
So for me, I guess, again, will Chelsea potentially give him to us if he's not guaranteed to start every week? I think that... Aaron Cresswell and Angelo Bonner at the minute, because of the way they played the last couple of weeks, are shoe-ins right now. I also think that actually having Diop not being played the last couple of weeks, Bob Wayne has staked a claim that he should be starting week in, week out. I definitely think we needed cover. Whether or not that was actually going out and buying someone to start every week, like James Tarkowski or any of the other 20 frigging centre-halves that we were linked with during the window. But it is a case now that, Declan Rice showed the other day why he isn't preferred to play in centre-half against Everton. I know he can play there and probably do quite a decent job of it, but didn't have a good game against Everton. So I'd like to see us have another centre-half as a backup, but I just don't see, with how stubborn Moyes can be half the time, him getting the amount of game time that Chelsea would want from him. So it's a difficult one. I'd like to see him, but I just don't think it would be a good fit for him, and I don't think it would work if he was on loan for us.
Anyway, more to come on the Tomori thing. Mike, final question for yourself before we let you depart, because our next guest should be joining us soon. If Tomori doesn't join, it sounds like Craig Dawson is our number one.
Oh, God, no.
Can I get your opinion on Craig Dawson?
Oh, God, no. Doesn't give you another the two, does it? Come on, it's like, I'll be honest with you guys, for like 10 grand a week, and that's super, super cheap in footballing terms, I'll come and play, and we'll probably, I'm the 53-year-old guy. Do you know what I mean? Marginally overweight these days. I would probably be as mobile as Craig Dawson. It's just no. Got relegated. He's typical. He's almost like the typical West Ham lone move defender thing from 10 years ago. Do we really want to go there? He was good-ish, all right, at his peak. Do you know what I mean? Not a player we should really be considering. He's slow, ponderous, reasonably good in the air, but he's from a relegated team, a team we comfortably beat at the end of last season, which is only a few weeks ago, let's face it.
Who Watford signed from a relegated team as well.
Oh, yeah. So this guy's like really good at getting relegated. I'm sure it's top of his CV. You know what I mean? Like, what is the point of doing that? I mean, look,
Roger Johnson 2.0.
But you want a young player, go get the guy from Swansea and forget about it. Spend the money on him and go and do it. And then let's develop him. And so we've got a player who will become worth more. Do not buy a half-dead, and I'm sorry to Craig Dawson.
Don't kill him before he's even died, Mike.
The guy's practically in a coma. I mean, do not bring this. I mean, it's just such a terrible, terrible idea. So I did hear about that, and it did chill me to the bone. So in case you're wondering if you think I'm being on the fence here, no.
Anyway, Mike, pleasure as always having you on. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
See you, Mike.
And there was Mike Tom. Now there's two again for now. Our next guest should be along in a minute. I'm mixing up the next guest potentially. Anyway, we are currently 50 subs away from 14,000 tonight. So we're on 13,000. Okay, we're on one person subscribed in the last 15 minutes. So thank you to that one person. Make yourself known. But we can hit 14,000 subscribers on the live stream tonight. Nothing will happen except you will make us happy. And I just want to confirm the rumor. We are not color coordinated on purpose. We did not arrange this because Gordon was wearing a Claret shirt earlier. Mike was in Claret, like a maroon, me, you're in burgundy tie. I got white underneath it, right?
I don't. It's just all burgundy.
Anyway, Jack Wilshere, what do you make of that then? He's obviously confirmed himself tonight that his contract's up at West Ham. We'll get your thoughts quickly and then we'll get our next guest on.
Yeah, it's weird because I think it's not just the fact that he's left tonight, it's the fact that it's the comments that came with it. The fact that he said that he was fully fit for most of the time that he was at West Ham, when we were to be led to believe that he was injured as well. Something stinks from the deal, really. Obviously, when Pellegrini came in, he wanted Wilshere on that 3-year contract, which was always going to be a bit iffy because of his injury record as well. So I'm sad to see him go. I thought that there was times when he went to Bournemouth that he looked like a really good, like the Jack Wilshere of old. But again, the injury, the worries, and he couldn't get guaranteed starting time for us, unfortunately. And it would have been so nice as a West Ham lad for it to work out for him. But obviously it hasn't. It's just the comments about him being fully fit and then the club sort of saying, regularly that he's in for operations and it's his ankle and it's his this, that and the other. So something's not right about it. But it is what it is.
There's a lot of rumours that Jack Wilshere is actually away to join Rangers. So we'll wait and see. Obviously, he's a free agent now, so there's no fee there. So arguably, his wages would be next to nothing because we've just given him his wages for the next year, haven't we? So technically, wages he could accept minimal wages at Rangers. I think he'd piss it in this league up here, to be honest with you. He would. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. We've got our next guest. I can't see his webcam. We're going to bring him in anyway, and hopefully it works. Hint, James. I'm mixing it up because it's a 2-hour stream-a-thon, and I'm going to need to mix this up so I can get a fan of another team in to get their opinion on their team and also their opinion on West Ham. I appreciate his knowledge and his stuff on West Ham anyway, so I'm going to add him in. Hopefully he can hear us at least. James, can you hear us all right?
I can definitely hear you guys. I'm just having a bit of webcam trouble, unfortunately.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. Would you like to introduce yourself, first of all, for people?
Of course, yeah. I'm James Wharton. I'm one of the hosts of the Toffee Blues YouTube channel and podcast. So I'm an ardent Everton supporter, in case you were wondering. And, of course, I'm very happy with the way the season's gone off to a good start, as you can imagine.
Well, this is why I thought I'd get you on. I remember talking to you a couple of years ago, and things were looking good for us at the time. Not so good for yourself. You had Silva, and we had Pellegrini, and our season was going all right. But we weren't too far apart, and it just feels today that one of us has gone in reverse pretty quickly, and the other club, your club, has made some magnificent progress over the summer. And what are you thinking of it as an Everton fan? What's going on at your club, first of all?
I think it's been a long time coming. The hierarchy seems to have finally gotten a grip and brought in, obviously, a manager of elite standing. He's, you don't get much better in football than Carlo Ancelotti as managers go, and that's been the catalyst, I think, for the improvements we've seen since that. He's been able to attract players like James Rodriguez, Alan, and players of that ilk, and in turn, that sort of improved the squad, which is improving our performances on the pitch. And I think everything has to sort of fall into place, and it's about time. We've had this new billionaire owner for 4 years now, 5 years. So it's taken quite a while for him to get it right, but he seems to have got the right formula at last.
When Ancelotti came in, you were in negotiations, or believe being negotiations with our current manager, David Moyes. What do you make of how Moyes is doing at West Ham?
Not too badly, to be honest. I mean, I think higher up than David Moyes at the club is an absolute mess from the outside looking in, if you don't mind me saying. But I think David Moyes, in spite of that, has done a decent enough job. I think, you've had 2 very good results on the bounce in the Premier League. I mean, two good sides who I was fearful would finish above us this season. So I think you've done us a massive favour on 2 counts there, and 4-0 and 3-0. It's not to be sniffed at.
And sorry, I was just thinking there. Do you know, just earlier you said how Ancelotti's got this pooling power for the big names and stuff. Do you think that's part of the problem that West Ham got this summer with regards to David Moyes?
Possibly. I think he's definitely a manager who probably left at his prime at Goodison Park. When he left, he went to Man United and it didn't work out, and that's kind of tarnished him a little bit. He's never really bounced back, I don't think. He's this sort of almost joke manager now, and I think that's never going to help you guys to kick on. I mean, you had him before Pellegrini, and you sort of came full circle in that respect. And I do think he's got some very good players there at West Ham. I think he will get a lot out of the players you've got. So I don't think he'll be in as much trouble as maybe a lot of West Ham fans seem to fear. I think he might be all right in terms of you staying well clear of trouble. But I'm not sure whether he's the man to attract the big names that maybe you want to kick on to the next level.
There's been, obviously, we've not brought anyone in. We brought in a right back after an injury to our current right back. When Moyes was at Everton, was he, I guess, a problem, if you like, in bringing in players? Not necessarily the names, just picking his targets, if you like.
Yeah. We gave him a bit of a nickname called Dithering Dave because he over scouts players. He does. Let's put it this way: he does his due diligence on players. He really looks into them, and maybe looks into them a bit too much to the point where he'd done so many scout reports. By the time they'd made their mind up on him, another club would swoop in and take them. It wasn't helped by the way that at the time Moyes was manager, Everton were absolute paupers. We hadn't barely a penny to spend. Every summer we'd have to sell to buy. So it wasn't easy for David Moyes when he was manager of Everton, and that might have contributed to his mindset of over-scouting players, trying to find a bargain perhaps. But he wasn't notorious for taking his time in the transfer window. A lot of our transfer deals under Moyes were deadline day deals. So I'm not sure, obviously, it's deadline day right now. Is there any sort of business looking like it's going to happen at West Ham?
Well, we'll get on to that. When he was at Everton, though, I think it's fair to say he built a decent side. He had a project there. He was there for over a decade. Do you think he could do that at West Ham? Do you think he could take West Ham into European football, essentially, as he did at Goodison Park?
I think one thing you will find is he'll get the best out of mediocre players. I think, and you guys have got a pretty decent squad on paper. I think I've seen him. Obviously, you've brought in some players who I think are very good. Jared Bowen seems to be a player I've really taken a liking to since I've seen him play for you guys in the Premier League. And Souček, he seems to be a player who is a very David Moyes type player. He's like a Tim Cahill, Marouane Fellaini type player. What they used to bring to the table at Everton. I think he may well be looking to mould a team in the same way that he moulded his Everton team. I think West Ham in terms of where they are at the moment are very similar to maybe where Everton were when he was first sort of, well, probably not nowhere near as bad as Everton were when Moyes took over at Everton, but maybe a few years down the line where there's still a bit of work to be done. I think that he could do that. I think he may well be looking to mould his his West Ham team in the mould of his Everton teams that did so well, and it will probably deliver some decent results. You'll probably find yourselves top half regulars, put it that way. Whether you get to the very next a level or two up, I don't know, because obviously he never really managed to take Everton to the next level. He got us in the top 4 once, but we didn't even qualify for the Champions League, and it was a bit bittersweet in that respect. But I'm not too sure if he's the one to make it an elite side, but he'll definitely make it a respectable side. You'll have a lot more respect than you perhaps you were in eras gone by where you might have been getting pelters. I'm not sure what it was like for you guys. I remember there was a poor spell under Pellegrini around this time last year, wasn't there? And before that, you had Slaven Bilic as well. I think that it went a bit sour for him as well. I think you won't be embarrassed, put it that way. You'll make it a harder team to beat than you have been.
Yeah, 2 more questions. Second one, you mentioned it earlier at the very first one. You alluded to the board, if you like. There's a lot of resentment towards the board at West Ham. As an Everton fan, outside looking in, what's your thoughts on the West Ham? I forget Moyes, forget the players, just the performance of Goal, Sullivan and Beattie at the minute. What's your thoughts on how they're doing?
They're not doing anything. From what I can see. They're sitting there and creaming off the profits by the sound of it. That's what I'm a very cynical person when it comes to football ownership and whatnot. So, for me, from the outside looking in, as soon as I see any sort of boardroom issues at a club, I'm just assuming that it's, in your case, 3 rats at the top creaming the profits off at the club's expense.
And last question then. Obviously, you've had a good season. You've had a good summer, a really good positive start for Everton. Do you see Everton is moving away from West Ham already, if you like it? I guess what I'm trying to say is, would you be disappointed if you finished below us this season?
I think after the start we've had, yeah. I think obviously having won every game, we'd be disappointed to finish below Liverpool at this point. Okay, let's put it a bit tongue in cheek maybe there, but I think we should be looking at this as the season. Put it this way: if ever there was a season to get the top 6, maybe even top 4, if we really want to be ambitious, but I think top 6 are doers right now. The way we've started the season, it looks as though we could maybe usurp one of those 6, and that would be good progress considering we finished last season in 12th place. So we definitely take that. But yeah, obviously the way we've started the season, it looks like it could be a good opportunity for us to kick on, and just got to see what happens.
Brilliant, James. Well, thank you for your time as always. Viewers, if you want to head over to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, especially when we're playing them, they do lots of content around games and stuff as well. James, thank you. Pleasure.
Pleasure for coming. Thanks for having me on anyway, Geo. Thanks.
Cheers, man. Right, Tom, there we go. An Everton's fan. I thought it'd be interesting to get an Everton's fan opinion, given he knows David Moyes better than us, arguably. But anyway, are you ready for some transfer latest?
Oh, God, depressed me. Go on.
Yeah, well, one second. I've got that Jack Wilshere thing up. I'll have to remember that. Give me 1 second. I've had a text come through, so I'm trying to... Apparently, the Craig Dawson is... We're not even waiting until tomorrow. I think we're trying to get Craig Dawson done tonight. That's how bad it is. Right, Tom, you're my pronunciation man. Do you know that defender from Strasbourg? How do you say his name? Sikaman?
Samakan. Yeah.
Him. It's very unlikely. That's not happening.
Shock and horror.
Yeah, he costs money, doesn't he? So
this is what I don't understand is the fact that if it's the 17 million or whatever that I saw floating around on Twitter earlier, and Spurs are in talks for this Rodon for exactly the same price, when every single one of us know that he's a decent player from the Championship that could be worth double that. And like Gonzo said, I think he said it a couple of times this week, this is your one time to sign a player like this that will then end up doubling, maybe tripling his price. It makes no sense to me that you would go for the scattergun approach abroad, not knowing if they could play potentially at this level, end up not getting them, yet your rivals are seeing Ben Godfrey going for 20 million to Everton and Rodon going for a similar price as well, potentially to Spurs. it baffles me. It makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, the Craig Dawson thing as well. Like as a backup, I know we need squad depth. Fair enough if it's for squad depth, but I mean, come on, like really, like it's just fills you with just no confidence. It just ruins otherwise an exciting day, supposedly.
Tom, how's the subs getting on?
Let me have a check. Have a quick. Three of you subscribe. We're now 47 away from the magic 14,000.
Right, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. Let's get us to 14,000 tonight. It will make us happy. It will make us feel good. Get over the disappointment of Craig Dawson. Right. It won't get us over the disappointment of Craig Dawson arriving. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. And if you want to support the channel, link is in the description below. Tom, are you ready for another guest?
I'm ready. I'm hungry.
It's your namesake. It's an old school Hammers chatter. He's not in his dress this year. Deadline day a few years ago, Tom. You got your you got a gold dress on.
I did.
How you doing tonight?
Yeah, not bad, lads. You all right?
Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in ages.
Nah, it's been a long time, mate. Long time.
How are you feeling about the transfer window, Tom?
Honestly, mate, what can you say? I've just had a look at all the outs. Someone's posted all the outs they've had, and it's pretty damning, really. Should I go through them? I mean, just to give it...
Yeah, go for it. We haven't seen it. Go for it.
Diangana, Ajeti, Cullen, Wilshere, Hugo, Roberto, Zabaleta, Sanchez, Ngakia, Silva and Anderson. I mean, it's asset stripping. I mean, to me, it just looks like this the one last payday before they sell the club. I mean, we are bare. I mean, what... I think someone mentioned that we've only got 20 first-team players or something. I mean, how many were out in the squad? Is it 25?
Yeah, like 25 plus the youngsters. So if you don't need to include Ben Johnson or players like that, you don't even need to register them.
So if if we get an injury to Declan Rice or Antonio or any sort of major sort of player in a key role, what the hell are we going to do? It's gambling. It's gambling on a massive scale, Geo, really. To me, it looks like asset stripping. It really does. You're selling as much as you can, getting rid of much of the wage for if they sell the club next year. Obviously, all them wages that's got to be £1 million a week saved or £1 million a month saved, easy on wages, surely. I mean, and then obviously the old. Wilshere come out tonight, and we've had to pay £4 million or something to pay him off his contract. I mean, you're selling Diangana, one of your hottest prospects, to pay off a guy, and he's had a dig as well on the way out. Like, he's saying he's fully fit, but it's clear obviously he wasn't liked at the club, and it's just, I don't know, mate. It's pretty. I know. I also heard about the fact that they mentioned that the last two results and things like that, they've actually used them as like a reason like they're... I'll tell you what, we're 2 or 3 injuries away from actually being absolutely diabolical in the league.
What did you think we needed to bring in, Tom, in terms of positions and stuff?
I think we need to strengthen quite a few positions. Obviously they've got Kufel in, which is great signing. It's great. I mean, when Fredericks is back, I think he's going to struggle to get back in the team. At least that's covered. But we've got the other side, the left side that needs completing. You need another centre back, I say. You need another defensive midfielder, a striker, and a goalie. I mean, there's 4 or 5 positions there, Gio. Really. I mean, we see how much struggle we struggled last year when Fabianski got injured. I know Dave Martin come in and done all right. I know we've got Randolph where he is now as well, but it's a position that I think we need to, because Fabianski is how old is he? 35, 34? He's no spring chicken, is he? He's quite old, and it's just everywhere, mate. To me, it looks like they're asset stripping. It really does.
Carl Norris says Mark Noble's cover for every position. It feels a bit like that, doesn't it? But yeah, what did you make of the Jack Wilshere thing then, Tom? We were paying him £4 million, just under 4 million quid. We are paying him 4 million to leave in order to save 1 million.
I've not missed this. Do you mean old drunk Tom or
young Tom?
Both
of you have your say in this. I know you've touched on it, Athers, but both of you.
Go on, Tom.
Well, to be honest with you, Gio, it doesn't. I mean, fair play to Jack. You know, in the days he's had a result there. He's had a £4 million payday. You can then go out. I mean, contract. This is the thing. Contracts are contracts. They're worth both ways, unfortunately. You know, and unfortunately, he's had another sort of 12 to 15 month contract with us, and he's managed to get a £4 million payday. He can now go and sign somewhere else, and even if it takes him 6 months to do, he's got that pay. He's got that paycheck, and contracts work both ways. Should he have got the contract in the first place, mate? That's a different question. You know, but it all comes down to the ownership who owns the club, and they've given him that contract, you know, regardless that they'll say it was the manager at the time that give it. No, it still gets signed off on the top, you know. And I just, to be honest here, Gio, I said when it mentioned the first off that with his contract, I was like, well, fair play to him. He obviously wants to go somewhere, you know. But then when he got told that we actually pay 85% of his contract, I was just in disbelief, to be honest with you. And it's straight away, you know. That's they'll come out and say, well, we had to pay Jack Wilshere's contract up. It's £4 million, you know, of the £40 million alleged budget. And it's just, it's just robbing Peter to pay Paul all the time, Gio. It's just not a proper way to run a football club. It really isn't, you know. And we already had a depleted budget in the sense that £40 million is a bit of a joke, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. And I can't even see how we got that, to be honest with you. And it just looks like asset stripping, Gio. It really does. It just saving £1 million there, saving £2 million here, and it's just awful. It's just not what you want from owners of a football club.
Yeah, I was waiting to speak about Jack Wilshere, but since we're on it now, I'll have my say. I think it's mad, to be honest with you, to pay him that much money. I almost find it actually like just shows how bad David Sullivan is at negotiating. Now, he's only able to save 20% of his wages. Jack Wilshere's a West Ham fan at the end of the day. I know it's his injury, it's his career and stuff, and he's not going to walk out the door for free. But when I heard that we'd mutually agreed some sort of fee for Jack to leave, I expected it to be half, to be honest with you. I thought, maybe getting half his wages now to leave, we save half the wages. But we're paying him $4 million in order to save $1 million. I think I'd have just kept him at the club, to be honest with you, because then at least David Moyes has got the option of using him all season. Now we are £4 million down and a player down to save £1 million. I don't really get it. £1 million in the Premier League these days is nothing. I mean, we didn't even get that for Josh Cullen. That's how bad we are negotiating. But you know, we took Solcheck on loan last season. It cost us a £4 million loan fee. That's how much Premier League clubs kind of just chuck money around a little bit. £1 million ain't that much. I would have just kept him. I have to assume David Moyes has had some sort of input here and that he doesn't want him. And going by Jack Wilshere's comments, it would insinuate that David Moyes is perhaps part of the reason that he wanted to leave. But tell you something, if he joins Rangers, as has been reported, in the next day or so, and good luck to him if he does, I've got nothing against him at the end of the day. It was a disaster move. I was delighted when Jack joined us. I really was. I thought, because at the time, that was after Moyes' first stint, where we had very little creativity. One of our brighter players was Yao Mario, who was only on loan and had left. So I thought, oh, no. So first to get Jack, I was really pleased. He just had a really good season with Bournemouth as well. I don't mind admitting it. I got it wrong. Listen, a 3-year contract was stupid at the end of the day, but at the time I was really happy. It's not worked out for him, but just think to pay someone £4 million to leave.
Yeah, to be honest with you, mate, when you think about it, this is the way Sullivan. This is what he's probably thinking. So I know Tom probably wants to get on this subject as well, but you said it's only £1 million, but the problem is Moyes has probably got a £2 million bonus in his contract, and he's like, well, there's half of Moyes' bonus, you know, like saved. So he's probably confident we're going to start this season, and that Moyes has probably got a £2 million bonus or something in his contract, and the way Sullivan probably sees it's half his bonus already saved. That's the way the guy thinks, Gio. It's just honestly, it's terrible.
I just find it mad that we've had to pay someone £4 million to leave. I think we'd been better off just leaving him in the squad for.
I agree.
For David Moyes to use, because maybe Moyes wouldn't have used him. I do hope that Moyes has had the final say here, and David Sullivan hasn't made the final say. And I hope it's one that's driven by the manager's preference for players and personnel, and it's not driven by finances. Because if it is driven by finances, then it's just a stupid deal, really. I can't get it at all. But if Moyes has said to David Sullivan, I don't want this guy in my squad for whatever reason, but he seems fairly popular around the club. The other players seem to like him and stuff. We've already seen some players like Declan Rice come out and wish him well and, you know, best of luck and stuff. It's not quite Dean Gann all over again, but there seems to be a unity between the players. And it's not great. You know, Jack Wilshere was one of the ones that spoke out when Diangana left. Jack Wilshere was one of the ones that posted about how he was disappointed that Diangana was leaving and whatnot. It's just, I don't know. I was surprised at how little money we've saved. That's all. I generally thought it'd be more than that. And it's the equivalent, as I said to Tom Arthurs earlier, it's the equivalent of £20,000 a week we've saved. For 20 grand a week for a Premier League club. Come on, it's hardly going to break the bank, is it?
Even for him just to be playing backup at that point. I mean, just for the sheer fact that we lost Cullen today as well, and it's if he sees that Snodgrass's position going forward is as a central midfielder, then fair enough. It's probably the only way that he's going to go and get into the team. But just in terms of outgoings and players that we've sold, it literally just is now Mark Noble and Snodgrass.
Then Connor Coventry
and Carver Coventry. And I mean, it's not like Noble and Snodgrass have had the best of injury records, you know, last season or so. It's just we are, like we've said all week, you know, we're one big injury away from absolute disaster. And to keep him around even at the club, even if it was just as a backup, surely it's got to be worth more to us than just to keep him around. If, like he says, he's been fully fit for a large portion of the time that he's been at the club, it makes no sense to get rid of him. And if this is, you know, what you get for you know, speaking out against the Angana's sale, then yeah, it's just the whole it's just laughable.
Tom, anything else you'd like to add about the transfer window before we kiss you goodbye?
No, I mean, as the Josh Cullen thing, this doesn't make sense either, mate. I know a lot of managers, obviously, he hasn't shown, proved himself to any of the managers that we've had over the years, but it doesn't make sense even more the fact that Wilshere's gone. He would have got more of a chance to actually to get a shot at the Premier League but obviously he hasn't worked out. And then I know he's into his last year, but 800 grand for him as well. That just seems a pittance as well, Geo. It's just
that's what cracks me up though, is the fact that you could say that Josh Cullen's been more productive really in pre-season as well, and at least looked the part when he was actually playing in and around the first team for a few games than Wilshere did. And he's always had that chance for the pre-season games, and he's always been shipped out on loan before he so he's not even really had a fair crack of the whip under whatever manager he's had. And the thing that gets me is we say, well, he may not have been good enough or whatever, and he's not maybe showed the manager what he wanted in pre-season. This was his best pre-season so far, and then he gets shipped out for 800 grand. And I think all of us are pretty much gobsmacked because, like I said, with what's happened now with Wilshere, it just does not make sense. It really doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Anyway, Tom, thank you very much for jumping on as always. Pleased to have you back. It's been a while, Tom. We need more Tom down and Ham's chat.
Just invite me on then. Just invite me on, you twat. Do you know what I mean?
Missed you. Love you.
Thanks, Tom. Cheers.
Anyway, lads, see you later.
Right, we'll get our next guest on in a second. Tom.
We've had one new subscriber. There you go. There's positive things. Only 46 more of you we need now.
Well, I'm kind of giving up already, to be honest with you. I don't think we're going to get there tonight. I'm feeling a bit depressed now. Craig Dawson and not getting the 14,000 subscribers tonight. It's just a double blow, to be honest with you. I'll tell you what, we might need to cheer us up.
Go on then.
What do you think? What do you think?
Is it the live chat seeing the dog? Is that what they want?
No, but the live chat can see the dog.
Is it the fact that people think I'm drinking out of a flower vase?
No, I was thinking of just getting the next guest in, to be honest.
That as well, yeah, of course.
Anyway, let's get the next. Let's get the next one in here. Before I do that, I'm going to jump to live chat because if people are putting questions and comments, and I will come to live chat before we'll get our next guest on. Well, he's there. We'll speak to him in a second. Seaside Hammers, I have to question Geo. You're more than welcome. Wilshere did not have a really good season at Bournemouth before he joined us. I think whole fire to championship window. I think he did have a good season, Seaside. I'm going to disagree with that. I think he had a good season until January when I think Bournemouth tried to sign him or insinuate they wanted to sign him and looked at the finances, decided that it wasn't feasible. So Eddie Howe to come out the team and start building for the following season. That's how I seen it anyway. But in terms of good season, he was injury-free at Bournemouth for large parts anyway. Let's just annoy Alan first of all. That's Alan, by the way, the guest. How you doing, Alan?
Not bad myself.
Yeah, not too bad. Here we go. The most popular question in football: Messi or Ronaldo? What are you saying, Alan?
It's Messi for me. I don't like Ronaldo. Ronaldo just seems too arrogant. There's just too much arrogance there. I know if you've got it, you can be that arrogant, but Messi just seems more classy.
Tom?
Messi, just because naturally gifted Ronaldo had to put the work in.
I agree with Messi. Why did Harry not sign him? I just said money, and they looked at the financials of it, and I don't think they were keen on. That's why I remember. Anyway, I could be wrong. It was two and a half, 3 years ago. Anyway, that's how I could recall it. Anyway, Alan, transfer window. What are you making of it?
Strange, very strange. Hard to disagree with anything that Tom's just said when he came on a minute ago. Strange departures and very little plan to then replace the players that have gone. The areas that we're worried about, injuries and potentially not having cover, are the areas that we've let players go. We've let Wilshere go, we've let Cullen go, and we're short in central midfield. As you keep saying, you lose Rice, you lose Souček, you lose one of them. Noble's not got the legs to do it. Snodgrass hasn't got the legs to do it, and was linked with a move away as well. I think that's an area we're massively short. And on that left side, I think left centre-back, Cresswell's done a great job, but he's quite a unique player to have as a third centre-half. And again, Masuaku, I don't see us having another wing-back.
Why is it going wrong then, Alan? Who do you blame? Where are you pointing the finger?
The same people we always blame. The people that I backed for a long time. But there's just no plan. There's no strategy in place. I don't know. Moyes has to be to blame for dithering, but he's identified targets and we've not gone and got them, and we've released players without a strategy. We've not released players and thought we're going to get that much money from that player. Diangana, the main example, we've not thought, right, we're going to get 20 million from Diangana. Who are we going to go and get? We've said we're releasing him because we've got 8 wingers apparently, and we want to strengthen at the back, but we haven't got a plan to go and get anyone to strengthen at the back. It should be that when the offer for Diangana comes in, we've got 3 clubs that we're talking to saying we want to put offers in for these players. Are they available at these prices? And we should be making a move straight away before the money hits our account. It should almost be going straight back out on the replacement. There's just no strategy.
Jez Bish says 20 points to anyone who names that kit he's wearing. I'm going to have to ask, actually. Tom, do you know what kit that is? Before you don't answer.
Not a clue. And no clue. Is it a Brazilian?
No, it's no one. It's my local Sunday League side. That's it. So it's
I was expecting a big one there.
Made it up or something. Oh yeah. This is a Brazilian third division team. Do used to play for them. Yeah. Cal Nor, do you think we'll sign a few next week from the Championship? This is Alan. To start with yourself.
No. In short, I think we'll be linked with players. I think someone like Dawson is someone who will end up with another Roger Johnson, someone like that, someone who'll just come and play a bit part role, hopefully nothing more than a bit part role. But no, I can't see us signing anyone significant now. I can only hope that money's tucked away for January. I think part of the problem's been our recent performances and our recent wins, because I think Diop's shown that he can play well at the back. Balbuena's now come in and shown that he can do a job. Ogbonna's been fantastic. Cresswell, Masuaku, they've all been good at the back. And I think that people are now sitting back and going, well, actually, maybe it's not quite that bad. Maybe we don't need to go and get a big name in.
Tom?
Yeah, I mean, look, Rodon was there. Godfrey was there. The left back from Brentford, Rico Henry was there, was still there. The signs were obvious for a lot of people. Potentially, there was good deals to be had in the Championship this summer. It looks like we're going to miss out on all of them, and eventually end up with, I guess, some more staunch fans could argue that potentially Craig Dawson is a decent backup or whatnot. But for me, it's with some of the names that are in the Championship this summer, we could have been potentially linked with. Like I said, we were fanning about trying to sign, X, Y, and Z from Europe. The homegrown talent was there to get for a cheaper price than what was said. So, it's a shame. But I don't know who he's left other than potentially Rico Henry and Ben Rama of the youngsters. If Rodon goes tonight to Spurs, that we'd be after.
Well, we had one. That's the problem. We had one of them. We had one of the best youngsters from the Championship. We're targeting young Championship players, and we've moved one of them on for reasons that we still don't really understand. If we'd have gone out and we'd have put that 20 million towards a centre-back or another wing-back or someone where we could have sat back and gone, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's an area that we need to strengthen. That's an area that's more important. And we've done that within a few days. people might not have liked it, but I think they'd have sat back and gone, okay, at least we can see there's a strategy there. At least we can see that that's the area they're prioritising. But we sold Diangana, and then we were linked with identical players who were costing more. Then we were told we were looking for defensive players, and nothing came from that either.
Yeah, I have to agree. And Tom, you said we were looking for X, Y, and Z around Europe. I don't even think we were doing that, to be honest. I see no evidence that we were doing that anyway. And if we were doing that, we've done it badly because we haven't got anyone in. I don't know what it was. I think, to be honest with you, I suppose this is at least a different conversation in regards to has Moyes been lobbed under the bus a little bit. But I think he was almost told that you've got to sell before you can buy. We've tried to sell Felipe Anderson very publicly. Not managed it. I mean, he's got to the point where we're literally handing him to Porto possibly for a season for free. It's got that bad for him. But we pimped this guy out. Nobody wanted him. Diangana was the only one worth money. Declan Rice is worth money, but I guess it's a case of, do you want to sell the guy who wasn't even here last year? David Moyes doesn't even know him. Or you're going to sell one of the players you were relying on post-lockdown, which kept you in the Premier League. Because I can actually understand why Moyes sold Diangana if he needed to raise the funds. The problem is we've done nothing with it. We've just sat there and
that press release as well, which just leaves the bitter taste in your mouth.
Yeah, it's the championship. We can go in the championship tomorrow, but I'm not convinced there's that many players that will make a massive difference to the club anymore. Like the players that were there have gone. We've just saw Ollie Watkins bag a hat-trick against Liverpool, for crying out loud. Eze is now starting games.
Could have gone for 9 million.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good source of £9 million. But we've got Eze's gone to Palace. Robertson's now starting for Fulham and stuff. The players that were there to be cherry picked have already been cherry picked. There's one top talent left in Benrahma, but I'm not even sure that's what we need, to be honest with you. Joe Rodon's now looking like he could potentially be away to Spurs and stuff, and it's slim pickings. And it's slim pickings. I've got more expensive tomorrow than they were 2 weeks ago because now we can only pick from that thing. And this is where my frustration boils down to the board for, because a month ago, 2 months ago, David Moyes could pick any player in the world of football, say, I want that guy. But tomorrow, he can only pick from the Championship or lower. That's all he can pick from. He's got a very small pool of players to choose from, and they're going to cost more. But Sullivan's got no excuses now. If Moyes turns around and says, I want that guy, A, we should be able to afford him, and B, we should be able to get him into West Ham United. But it's frustrating, that's all. We've got a question here. It's scrolled away. Bear with me. I'm on the new software thing tonight that I've only used once before, so it's a bit fidgety for me. But Dean, he says, if we sign no one but finish mid-table, has it been a good season, Tom?
Probably, yeah, because I guess the odds were stacked against us potentially at the start of the season. So I guess you'd have to say it's a decent summer, decent season. And then again, you go again next summer to try and reinvest again, or we may be completely in the ship by January, and then we have to look to potentially adding targets again in January. But I think you'd have to take 12th, I think, just based on what our kind of... I thought none of us thought we would start the season kind of as well, you can say, as we have these last couple of games. So to be in the position that we're in at the minute and to potentially finish there, I guess you could say for me that would probably be a positive season.
Alan?
Well, it's staying up with minimum outlay, isn't it? That was the plan at the start of the season. I think most of us would take 12th, certainly would have taken it at the start of the season. But I also think Moyes hasn't helped himself. You know, a lot's been made of his subs recently, and I think there's an argument for saying, well, if you're not going to use more than 11 or 12 players in a game, do you need to go out and sign additional players? I know we're going to need cover for injuries and what have you, but like I said, if we're going to use 12 players in a game, do we need to have 3 capable subs on the bench, or do we not?
Nick Swire says, no, I want Europe. That is what we were promised. We shouldn't accept anything less. Hammer Rocky says, the way they played the last 2 games, you would have thought Sullivan would have strengthened the holding midfield. There's no cover whatsoever. Can't he see what we can all see? This is quite good suggestions, to be fair. Oliver says Capoue or Billing are the only real options. Anyone else, Cullen would have been better on. Can't really disagree too much with that. Dan B, if Fredericks had got injured, would we even have Sofal? Probably not, to be honest with you. I think he was a real option. Then we put him on the back burner because of the form of Ryan Fredericks and Ben Johnson post-lockdown. I think we thought, oh, maybe we don't need that. As for Dean's question, I think mid-table would be a good would be a good season for us. It depends. Other stuff. How do we do in the FA Cup? Who's playing the games and stuff? Are we only using certain players, or is Elise had minutes? Is Connor Coventry had minutes? Because then that makes it more successful. But also the style of football, so on and so forth. But we'll continue with what we've done in the last couple of weeks, and I think it'd be a really good one. Though, I'm going to almost defend the club here, which is going to be a bit unpopular, just because I think it's important to have a bit of balance. Two things. One, we've kept a hold of Declan Rice. I think that cannot be underestimated. But you're voting.
No, sorry, the subscriber count just ticked over to 34 more we need for 14,000. It's possible. We're back on. Sorry,
right, we're back on track. 34 people. There's 660 of you watching this live. There's definitely 34 of you that I'm not subscribed, all right? So hit that subscription button. Let's have a little bit good news for the Hammer Chat boys tonight. No, Geo, don't. I'm going to do it, okay? I'm not joining the dark side, right? Okay, listen, I don't think we should underestimate the impact of keeping Declan Rice this transfer window. I think I expected him to go. I completely expected him to go. He hasn't. He's still here. I think that should be not applauded or rewarded as such, but I think you should almost give a little nod of, well, fair enough, well done, because sometimes I think you can almost focus on what's not coming in and you lose focus on what's not going out, because sometimes it's just as important to keep your main players as it is to improve it and stuff. The other one, the January transfer window is only 11 weeks away because of the way the situation is now. We're now in near enough mid-October. January is not that far away. So if things goes tits up, you get to rectify it a lot quicker than what previous seasons would have done. I do think the 2 wins in the last 2 games have been fantastic and stuff, but I do think that they've possibly stopped David Sullivan from dipping his hand in his pocket. He sat there on TalkSport and said, we've got a good squad, we've got a good team. We were lucky against Arsenal. Since then, we've gone and thumped Wolves 4-0, thumped Leicester 3-0. That wee man sitting there saying, I told you. I watched them post-lockdown. We looked good post-lockdown. I don't know, we were 8th in the form table or something. He's looking at that only. Because he's not judging last season as a season. He's judging it as David Moyes' stint, because that's now his manager. I'm frustrated, but I kind of understand it. I can't understand backing your manager, but I can kind of get where Sullivan's coming from, although I don't necessarily agree with it. Alan, before we say goodbye, is there anything... well, to be fair, this is a fair comment by Terry. Rice is only here because no one put a bid in. That's true. But can you then say what West Ham had their part to play in the sense that no one put a bid in? I don't know. It's difficult. It's hard to say, isn't it? But anyway, Alan, is there anything else you'd like to add before we say au revoir?
Just, I think there's a difference between delaying the inevitable with Declan Rice and keeping him. I still think it's inevitable. He goes January, definitely next summer. I don't understand why we're not doing more to, not necessarily to keep him, but to make it harder for Chelsea to take him. You throw 80, 90 grand a week at him and you give him the vice captaincy or the on-field captaincy, and you say, look, we're going to build a team around you, we're going to give you that much money. At the moment, Chelsea need to come in and offer him 60 grand a week and they can take him straight away. They probably only need to match his wages anyway, but they offer him 60 grand a week and they can take him. If he's with us on 100 grand a week, they then need to offer him 120, 130 grand a week. It just gives them something more to think about before they put the money down. It just makes them maybe look at alternatives, makes them think twice before they come in. And it makes Declan think twice before he leaves as well. Hang on, maybe I am valued here. At the moment, he's not in our top 5 highest paid players, yet he's our most consistent performer. So the owner's stance of we're not going to offer him a new contract, he's just signed one, is doing nothing except keeping him here, not necessarily against his will, but he's keeping him here because he has to be here, not because he feels valued and wants to stay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anyway, Alan, thank you as always.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, take care. That's Woody, by the way, for the cup of tea watchers. That's Alan, Woody. Alan! Anyway, makes the Chelsea board do not want Rice. Then there was someone disagreeing with me. Apparently nothing was disagreeing with me, saying the board made Chelsea not put a bid in, lol. Well, they put an £80 price tag on him publicly. Well, I say publicly, unofficially, officially, as I call it, using their favourite websites. And there's an in the know on the Chelsea side saying the reason they didn't go for Frank Lampard is because of his price tag. So it swings and roundabouts. I do think keeping him is massive, but the problem is our squad is very, very light. But I'm going to do a video on that later on. Anyway, Tom, Do you need a bit of cheering up again?
No, because it's just depressed me just thinking about all those players in the Championship this summer. Just like if you sat and we listed them off one by one, I'm not going to do all of them, but like even the relegated teams, Decore, Dale Feu, Josh King, Callum Wilson, Jamal Lewis, Max Aarons, Campbell, Buendia is another one who I haven't actually seen touted anywhere really to go. It's just there's so many good players available potentially. Sarr, I'm not saying he would want to come to us, but there's players that we could have looked at getting, and we haven't. And I think the Championship this summer was rife for picking. Matty Cash, some of the other ones, and I just think once again we've missed a trick. And it will really. And I know I saw somebody that commented a little bit earlier on saying it would piss him off if Sullivan came out and said, we tried and failed again. That really would be sort of like the last straw. But no, cheer me up again. Give me a guest.
Get the sub counter ready, please, as I bring in the next guest who needs no introduction, Mr. Walsh.
Yeah, it's all gone to pot, boys. Let's go.
How you good, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm all right. I just got finished filming Two Spanners, One Hammer, the Patreon exclusive podcast.
What is the Patreon thing, Charlie?
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's www.patreon.com/hammerschat. You should just listen. This is what you get for your bang for your buck. Okay, you can get the Patreon exclusive podcast Two Spanners,
Not a prostitute, just to be clear. I know that's used.
Well, listen, you can describe yourself however you want, but you get the podcast, okay? You get match day morning shows with yourself and Gonzo. You get your opposition previews, which you do for every single opposition, which I may add helped me a lot in pretending that I actually know what I'm talking about, which is never true any of the time. You get flipping mugs of tea. You get occasionally, you just get gifts. You sent everyone pin badges not long ago just to say thank you. I mean, when it comes to Patreons, is there any better? I'm just putting it out there. Is there any better?
Anyway, link is in description below. Tom, how many subs are we on?
It's not updating, but I think because it jumped such a big time, it takes like 10 minutes to adjust.
I think
there's a couple of no.
David,
I'm not. My name is not Dave. No, it's somebody said they subscribed in a live chat whilst asking for Everton news.
Do you know if you go in the studio app, it's constantly updated on there, by the way. Anyway, Charlie, I'll have a chat with Charlie while you do that. Charlie, what are you thinking of the transfer window, please?
Wrong answers only.
Wrong answers only. It's been great. It's just been a bit trash in total. I mean, I think at the beginning, when they were talking about the no money thing and going on and on about how when people who know sources at the club were talking about how there's no money and everything else, I think there was lowered expectations by the fan base to think, okay, we're going to really have to temper these. And somehow they've still managed to get underneath them. And I don't know physically how that's possible, how they've lowered expectations and yet everyone is still coming out of it more angry in the past. I mean, selling Diangana was like... It's such a bold play for people who haven't got any consistency in ever delivering. It was such a bold play to go, we're selling him because we need money to strengthen, and then just don't do it. It is actually genuinely wild to see that they've done it. I can't believe it. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know if they're thinking, oh, we'll just wait for the Championship stuff, blah, 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 blah. But it genuinely doesn't make a lick of sense.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me just grab this one because I think this is what everybody's worried about. This is what I think is quite consistent on social media tonight and stuff. Hammer Rocky says, love to say to Sullivan, if Rice or Souček got injured, who will cover? Don't tell me Noble or Snodgrass. Oh, yes, they play on the left wing as well. Tom, this is what we were sort of discussing earlier. But Charlie, what do you think this is quite a prominent concern among West Ham fans?
Can I quickly go relieve myself and use it go full screen? Thank you.
I hope he's talking about going for pee, but
I need a piss. I need to go for a shit. One of them.
All right, okay. Charlie, yeah. I crack open one of the finest. Iron brew.
Is that an iron brew? I was going to say it looks like an iron brew. Love that. It's just water for your boy. It's just water. Look at that through the.
I thought it's deadline day. Gonna treat myself. Anyway,
you've got it at some point.
The problem, isn't it?
It's. I see. At the beginning of the window, I was banging on that I felt like we needed a DM because we do literally only have Rice in that position. Now I know again people go, "Oh well, Souček can play there." well, that means one of those players have to replace Souček, but also that completely nullifies basically all of Souček's attacking. Now, don't get me wrong, Declan Rice is getting forward more frequently than he ever has, and it does concern me slightly. I get a little bit scared and what's the word I'm looking for? I get vertigo every time he gets a bit too far forward, but we need one. Unless Connor Coventry is this great player, and I felt like if Connor Coventry was going to be the guy to step into that role, he would have played in the cup matches, and he didn't. So it's that was a concern before, and like you say now, if we've got one player covering all of these different positions, when we know we've already got, like, you know me and Antonio, I'm not going to say anything negative about him because there was a big old thing on the watch along the other day, and I don't need to go into that again. But the dude is injury prone. That all of a sudden he's not only the striker, he's also the cover for left wing, he's also the cover for right wing, he also is this, that, and the other. Then you've got, like you say, Noble, Snodgrass, they're one person away. It's like, it's playing. I can't figure out why they've done it. Like, usually I would go, okay, well, we've got this person here and this person there, but like Wilshere and Cullen, for example, were two people who people would have given a chance. I think Wilshere, although injury prone and not super for, at least people would go, he would be good if he actually played a match. It's like, but they've gone for, I don't know how much Jack Wilshere was on a week. I know you mentioned the price about when you were talking to Tom Down, which I saw, which was I got very excited about that. Old school Hamish chat. You'd have got to love to see it. But let's say he's on, would you know what his weekly wages were, Wilshere?
About 100 grand a week.
So if we're saving 15% of that, that's 15 grand a week. What was Josh Cullen on? Probably 15? Something like that?
I think we're saving 20%. I think we've basically saved ourselves £1 million out of Jack Wilshere.
It just seems... It makes no sense. It's like, if we need the money, not only do I don't think we needed the wages because we got rid of like Sanchez and Zabaleta and things like that already, and then you've got the other people on top of that we've already got rid of. What's the point? I genuinely don't see the point. Was 20%, like, realistically, what's that going to do for us right now? Because ultimately, you can't spend that money on anything until January anyway. So what's the 20% going to do for you right now, this second? Nothing. It's just going to be sitting there. So what's the genuine point of getting rid of someone who is at least a body in that position? Because now we are bodiless. You're a bodiless corpse, and I don't really.
I'm going to jump onto that in a second. Before I do, Seaside Hammer says, "Can I suggest you inform people subscribing to YouTube channels is free?" I think it's unclear to many people who associate the word subscribe. That's true. It's free to subscribe to the channel. There's a big red button below. Just click subscribe and you're done. And to talk about that, that's my concern. The way we've been playing recently, this 3-4-3 formation, let's call that for the sake of it, without getting into the finer details. Even Declan Rice's roles changed. Declan Rice, I don't see Declan as a defensive midfielder anymore. He's obviously got defensive duties, but he's had to be a bit more box to box against Wolves and Leicester. You just have to when you play in that role. Mm-hmm. Both midfielders have to be able to get up and down the pitch and get left to right. And we don't have anyone at the club that can go in and do what Declan or Souček does. We just don't. Noble and Snodgrass can play centre midfield on paper, but they cannot do what I've just witnessed Souček and Rice do for the last 180 minutes, which is just run for 90 minutes. They will do their best, Noble. Pardon me, last eye and blue, innit? That Snodgrass and Noble will give 100%. They will run for 90 minutes. But the thing is, they just can't run. It's like watching them in treacle almost. You saw it when we saw Snodgrass and Noble against Everton. They just got torn apart in the middle of the pitch. And it's perfectly feasible that we will play a Premier League game sometime in the future, possibly even more, with them two as our midfield pairing. And I'm not going to lie, it is scary. I do not like it. I don't like the thought of seeing them come up there. I think you can take a bit of an educated guess that Rice and Souček have been relatively injury free. I can't remember the last time Rice has missed a game. Souček missed a few games for us.
Whoa, touch wood. Don't stop that. You just know he's going to get injured on England duty this week.
My point is you've got to sort of do that though, haven't you? You've got to go with players' medical histories and stuff. I mean, we've ignored it all this time for the bad side of it. Him with that like 2 ACL injuries, he'll be all right. He'll be fine. Just get him in. So you can't have it both ways. You've then got to appreciate when someone's relatively injury-free, this whole career, like Souček was until he rocked up here. But as Charlie said, Antonio is injury-prone. Ogbonna's had some injury niggles with us as well. And it just feels that we are one injury away from having a crisis. but had a very panicky moment. We went through this with Fabianski getting injured and the Pellegrini, Roberto come in. I know it's not quite the same because Roberto literally punched the ball in the back of the net, but we saw what difference one man can make to a team if he gets injured. We saw that, and I just feel like we are almost taking the same risk again if Rice or Solchek in particular get injured, or Antonio, because I'm a bigger fan as anyone apart from Gonzo. I think I'm pretty vocal in supporting Sebastian Haller, but he just cannot do the role that Mikel Antonio's doing. He just can't do it. I just feel it's a bit. I just think we're being a bit naive, to be honest with you, in this January transfer window. This transfer window here, it's almost January, isn't it? I just feel we're being naive.
I think even with the Cullen thing, it's not even just naive injury-wise; it's naive financially because he can't be on that high wages. And what's 800k? Like, if that is the number, I don't know what it is. I saw that on Twitter 2 hours ago.
It's 800k.
If he plays 5 games in the Premier League, all of a sudden he's worth at least $1 million. What are you like? It's basic. Even if we need the money, surely you just keep him for a while. He gets the game time because someone's going to get injured, and then he's worth more, and he's still going to be on the same wage. It's such a baffling thing to me. It really genuinely is, because it's not even just naive from one point of view. Whichever way you look at it, it's just naivety and madness, and it's just.
Tom, what's the sub count on, please? You had one job. You've had one job.
I've got it here, and it has gone up.
What were you doing in the toilet? Everyone's on their phone in the toilet. You were playing Candy Crush again?
No, actually, I was in the live chat. If you scroll back up, but
all right, okay.
13,974 now.
So 26 people. Oh, come on. There's 26 people. Subscribe to the channel, please. This is the thing from James. When's Cullen's contract's up? Is this summer coming? So he's in the final year of his contract. Because of his age, we wouldn't be entitled to any compensation either. So that's why I kind of get why. Actually, I don't get it. I would rather have kept him and let him walk out for free at the end of the season at the cost of 800 grand. I said, yeah, right, we can take that hit on us. It's £800,000. Right, I'm going to give someone a row.
Sorry.
I'm going to bring someone on in to give him a row, and then I'm going to kick him out again. Ray, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I've got my schedule here, and I've got Ray down for 10:40. It's 10:10.
You just came to have a listen.
Well, just like my private life, I come early. There we go.
Ray!
And I couldn't let Charlie nick my thing about Josh Cullen. I said that in the Patreon chat. Just
No. Listen. Kick Geo, kick him, get rid of him. I don't want people knowing this unless there's a Patreon. Unless they're a Patreon, then they can know I've been stealing stuff.
No, that's it. That's him gone anyway. We've got another guest coming up in 5 minutes anyway. Here we go. Is the Tomori rumor dead? Duracell plus 06. I think so. It's looking very unlikely.
Cavani signed on the dotted line, and Loftus-Cheek supposedly to Fulham on loan. Should we be all over that as well? I don't know. Who knows?
Loftus-Cheek, I'd say no, but
I don't know. I mean, because I'm so desperate, I'd say yes. But if I wasn't so desperate, I'd say no, because his
Ray's coming early. I'm desperate.
He's injury prone, though, isn't he? So
yeah. He's injury prone, and he's like, I don't know. It doesn't significantly. I don't know. It's one of those ones where it's like, does he improve it? Yeah, probably. By much, not really. That's the thing with the Tomori thing, by the way. Is like, let's say we did get him in on loan. I don't know if I'd be okay with that. Like, does he start? Like, do I want to pay a loan fee to Chelsea to someone who's not going to stay with us if they're not a starter? I don't know if I would. But I don't know if that's just me. But then again, I said Craig Dawson was fine yesterday and got absolutely killed for it. So that's a side note for another time, I guess. But it was, I don't know. It's all very weird. Well, by you and everyone else, to be fair. The live chat wasn't too happy with that one. But yeah, I don't know.
This is what we do during the watch-alongs. They're asking that I give Maisie a hug. And who am I to oblige?
This is what you get, Gio, when you ask Tom to do a show. You get dogs.
Come here. There we go. There we go, everybody.
Anyway, this just transfer deadline day show is either gone uphill or downhill. It's up to you at home to make a decision. Where was we? Here we go. Mulch Mike says 45 minutes on the clock. All deals rumored earlier have been either put off or cancelled. Not looking likely for any signings until tomorrow when we get Craig Dawson. Dawson Wonderland. Here we go. Right, last question for Charlie. Charlie, then I'm going to put you back into the back room and get the next guest on, I'm afraid.
Well, no worries.
Gonzo, are you watching this? That's what it's like getting old. Gonzo should be on. Gonzo will be on later. He's been practicing the bong for 11 o'clock because we need a bong. Not that kind of bong.
He's been practicing the bong.
The ceremonious bong.
Yeah, he's coming on at 11 o'clock to do the bong.
I'll definitely be watching.
Anyway, Charlie, this is for you before you disappear. Are you by Andy Walsh? Are you surprised by the window?
Hello, Andy. What man? Yes, because I didn't think it could be as bad as it was. Like, I thought it would be bad. I didn't think we were going to make any big signings. I didn't think we were going to go ham. I thought we would probably get a couple of frees and a couple of loans, and it would sort of be like it was what it was. I thought Declan Rice would stay, and that seems to have happened. But I'm surprised they've cleared out as much as they have. It just I can't believe that they look at it and think that's a good idea in any way, shape, or form. That's what I'm surprised by. The fact that they're actually that insanely stupid that they think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Eddie Wilson says, nights like this made me want to be one of those guys who hates football and likes drones or something like that. GSB out.
Let's go, drones. Let's go. Come on.
Can I just quickly say, there's a comment up there, Joe. I don't know if you put it up that says, where is it? I literally just saw it. It's from Joel EDJ, which Jack Wilshere to sign on a free in January. Probably more than it should have done.
Right, this is a good question. Then I'm going to kick Charlie out. Question: would you be satisfied if, in theory, you knew we were signing Benrahma and Joe Rodon in the next week?
No, because he's never satisfied.
I'm never satiated. Probably not. Like Benrahma, and I would have preferred Benrahma to Eze if I'm being honest, because I trust him more than Eze at this point. But Rodon, I can't act like I've watched him enough to know. For a start, I can't act like I've watched him enough to be able to fully judge him. The one thing I do know, I believe, again, correct me if I'm wrong, his injury record's not clean.
Yeah.
And that's what really concerns me about the Rodon stuff, is that as much as again, without seeing enough of him, he looks like he has everything it takes to become a Premier League centre-back. The injury problems concern me a lot. So no, I probably wouldn't be, although it would make me a heck of a lot more happy about the window than I would be now, if we're being honest, because at least we're, doing bits, trying to do something, as opposed to just, and it's something Rebecca said to me a long time ago, but she was like, you just keep buying championship players, eventually you've got a championship team. And that's why I'm like, we could look at any other league, guys. League One, like we were supposed to be looking at.
Great. We're going to have a check team.
Yeah, Slavia Prague starting 11. Yeah. To be fair, though, all of us, every single one of us would have loved a Rodon. I'm not going to lie. They're just the fun we could have had with that. Is that just me?
Anyway, a way to kick him out. But what time is this stream on till 11 o'clock? Charlie, we'll get you back in towards the end if you're about.
I'll hang
catch you a bit. We'll go get the next guest on. This stream's on, I say 11 o'clock, it might be on 5, 10, 15 minutes later than 11 o'clock. We'll be here till the bong. Gonzo's coming on to do the bong.
However long it takes us to get to 14,000 subscribers.
Yeah, please, can everyone just subscribe? There are some people that put questions in for Charlie. He'll be back later on. Keep your questions. If I miss your questions, just copy and paste them. I will get round to it. I can promise you. We're going to get the next guest in who was on Top West Ham last week with a better camera this week. Adam, how you doing?
Chaps, how are we?
I'm not too bad. What you come to chat about?
Well, really, I start off commending you two for doing this for the past hour and a half, putting through how disappointing this window's been. You're still trying to find some hope, but you're still just slowly realising nothing's going to happen.
Can I just say this has been easy compared.
What you've already said already.
Hang on, Tom, what are you saying?
Really
So I was going to say it's just easy, a bit
Adam,
easy.
shut up a minute. Stop what you're saying.
I was to say,
Adam! Stop talking for a minute.
This was easy compared for doing this for 2 hours to when we did the 24-hour live stream. That was all I was trying to say. Don't worry. Sorry, Adam.
Fucking hell, you could have at least interrupted him with something decent, Tom. Jesus. Anyway, Adam, sorry, you now may speak again.
Sorry, was that work? Is it actually working now?
Oh no, it was working in the first place. Tom was just trying to butt in for some reason. Turns out it was nothing interesting he had to say, unfortunately. So yes, continue with what you were saying. Sorry, Adam.
Sorry, no, it's just not about the squad players and all the cover players been letting go. I mean, I touched on it on Twitter, about how West Ham's supposed to be the academy of football, and we've let Josh Cullen, Grady Diangana, and also earlier in the summer, Ngakia, have all been allowed to leave. It's like we're supposed to be the academy of football, and we've let 3 prospects go, and we end up having, because Ngakia's gone, we have to spend $5.5 million for Kufau to get the cover in. Obviously, we still haven't replaced Grady properly. Still yet to spend that money that would be reinvested. And it goes on. I mean, at the end of the day, people have differing opinions on Josh Cullen and whether he's good or not. And quite frankly, you just have to put it this way. Are you happy with 33-year-old Noble and 33-year-old Snodgrass as your backup central midfielders? I mean, everyone who did actually watch the Everton Cup game saw how overrun they got. And you just think that's a cup game as well. Everton weren't playing their full-strength team. They could have easily have gone a stronger team. They could have gone... It could have been even more embarrassing. You just going, like you were saying earlier, all it takes is Ogbonna, Rice, Souček, or even Antonio with his hamstrings to get injured, and West Ham in some serious trouble. And I just don't trust the Bulls to actually get the right replacements in. I mean, I know we've got until next week or so for the championship, and it probably, in my opinion, will end up being Dawson and Benrahma, purely for the Salthouse connection. But
wait, hang on a minute. I'm gonna just interrupt. Do you think we could get Benrahma in?
No, to be honest, I'm not a fan of him. I watched the playoffs really closely because I was interested how he would compare to Eze. Because obviously at the time, West Ham were actually comparing, are we going to get either one? And we've ended up with neither of them so far. To be honest, I watched the game. He didn't. I mean, obviously, the championship season, he has done well. He did drive Brentford forward, but in those key games, he bottled it massively. He didn't play his normal game, and you just think if that's the championship playoffs, and Fulham didn't even have that strong of a team in that game, to be honest. If you compare it to like the Premier League squads, you put him up against Premier League players. They're players that have played in the Premier League for a long time. They'll clatter him quickly. They won't give him time and space like they did in the Championship. But at the end of the day, you've got to say who's going to be coming in at this late from the Championship, really, and who's going to want to do business now that the international window is closed. That closes off opportunities for the Championship clubs to actually replace their players going out in the first place. So we're going to get even more shafted for price.
Well, we're getting Will Salthouse players, aren't we? Craig Dawson and Saeed Benrahma are both Will Salthouse clients. It's difficult. I hate it, but it's hard to not say that West Ham's transfer business, as of now, is now agent orientated, and it doesn't sit very well with me. And I feel sorry for David Moyes. Adam, you're not David Moyes' biggest fan, so in terms of the transfer window, do you think he's been given? No, but it's fair though. You're not his biggest fan. Neither am I. But do you think he's been given a fair hand by David Sullivan?
Well, I say I'm not his big fan, but I do credit him for the last 2 performances. I mean, I've got absolutely no complaints. But going back to the transfer business, I'd say it like I said before in the previous chat came on, I think it's still a mixture of both. I mean, it looks like Moyes has laid out some targets that he wants to get, and obviously we've not got them. But then you have to try and level. I hate saying this because I'm defending the ball a little bit. It maybe Moyes does take some blame in that some of these targets are unrealistic in the first place, and we should have actually gone for someone a bit more realistic when it comes to the likes of James Tarkowski. It was identified early on that he didn't want to come.
You think James Tarkowski is unrealistic?
Oh, to be honest, it's seen from obviously like the likes of X and people like that. And obviously you're hearing it through the grapevine that he didn't actually want the move down south in the first place. And then also you've got in the past when he used to play for Brentford, he actually went on strike to move back up north in the first place. So you've got to think.
But
he must have that bit of history.
Moyes must have a second choice though, Adam, because it seems like we've gone from Tarkowski as the number one to all of a sudden 25 different centre backs, and it's a case of just get who we can now. There seems to be at least there was a strategy when we were going for Tarkowski. At least there was a target clearly identified. Let's go get this guy. But then when we finally accepted, after getting rejected for a third time, that we're probably not going to get this guy, it seemed to just spiral out of control. We seemed to start fighting off random bids left, right, and centre. None of them were meeting any valuation. And if Fiorentina centre-back, by the sounds of it, we got told that we weren't bid enough, but Fiorentina were willing to negotiate. And we went, nah, you've rejected the first one. We're off now. Thank you. We're going after the Marseille centre-back who wants Champions League football. And I struggle to believe that in this day and age, the way football works, that we didn't find out that he didn't want Champions League football prior to us bidding. I think we would have bid knowing full well that player has no intention of coming to West Ham United. But we put the bid in anyway to make us look busy, make us look ambitious, knowing that the reason he doesn't want to come is because we don't have Champions League football. And as an owner of a football club, I think you're perfectly within your right to sit there and go, well, that's not our fault. We don't have Champions League. We went after somebody of that level. He didn't want to come. But I don't believe that they didn't know he wanted Champions League football prior to us making the bid. Maybe I'm a bit too cynical, Adam. I don't know. I just find that I think Moyes has just been shafted by Sullivan, to be honest with you, Adam. I'm not Moyes' biggest fan, but I don't believe a manager as organised and whatever you want to call it as he is, only had one name on his wish list, and that was it. I don't believe that for 1 second. Who was second on his list? I don't know, because of the way we've gone about our business after James Tarkowski. But I think he's probably been led down the garden path a little bit with the Diangana. Say, oh yeah, we'll sell Grady. He's not good. We'll sell him. Then we'll go get you your centre back. I think he's got down the garden path and realised that Sullivan's pulled his pants halfway down and he's a bit exposed now. I don't know, just how I see it, Adam.
I agree with that. It's just blame to be laid everywhere. I think really, there's no one really gets out of it saying, "Oh, I tried my best here, I tried my best there," because at the end of the day, we're still 33 minutes away from the transfer window, international window anyway, shutting. I think I saw a tweet somewhere earlier saying we targeted about 14 centre backs, and Dawson will be the 15th. It's just, how do you go through 14 players and then you get down to 15? And everyone, I don't think I've seen a single person say, oh yeah, I'll be happy with Dawson, he'll be all right, he'll do a job. And it's where, okay, like Tom was saying earlier, he could be cover, and he could just be used as cover. And then you can kind of see an argument in that aspect. But at the end of the day, it's still not the Red Bull model that Moyes previously talked about, is it? It's just 30 years old, getting slower. It just seems like this whole Red Bull model is actually going back to that. Are we actually going to target the young? Milenkovic from Fiorentina, the 22-year-old, he seemed to me that he would suit the Red Bull model absolutely bang on. But we didn't end up paying a full amount for him, and now we're struggling to now we'll end up with Dawson by the sound of it.
We just proved we don't want to do the Red Bull model. I'll start wrapping this up soon. I'm going to get Ray on. He's been sitting there early, 20 minutes early at Ray. But Joe Rodon is a perfect example of why West Ham will not do the Red Bull model, because we've been told by X and Clarion Hugh, two really good sources who have different sources at the club, but they're saying the same thing, which is the board don't want to move for Joe Rodon of Swansea because he's not ready yet. He won't be ready for another year to 18 months. Now, the Red Bull model is buying players and getting them ready and selling them on for a profit. We've identified a player which fits the Red Bull model. They've looked at him and thought, that guy will be ready in 18 months. That guy will be worth lots of money in 18 months. So let's not buy him. But because he's not ready yet. No. But you buy him and you get him ready and you cash in. That is the Red Bull model that your current manager is banging on about. I just find it ridiculous. They've actually spoken about what they want to do. They've gone and identified a player that fits what they want to do. And they're not doing it because of the project that they want to do. It doesn't really make nothing. It just doesn't add up at all. I think they're just going around in circles. It's the blind leading the blind, unfortunately. And it's probably a blind centre back we're going to end up with. I mean, I'm sure Craig Dawson's got eyes, but I've seen him play like he's blind. But anyway, Adam.
He might be dead.
Yeah. Adam, thank you very much. Pleasure having you with us as always.
Cheers, Jen. Thank you.
Tom, Neil Warren says no transfers is the best thing possible. No players sold by foreign clubs for fanciful sums when players don't really want to move at such short notice and really put in proper effort as a result. I mean, is Neil got a point here that we perhaps no buying is better than panic buying?
Well, yeah, if you're going across into Europe, but you've also got the Championship, so it's kind of like, you know, there is a place in a market to go and get those players from that should be a little bit more proven than per se spending the money abroad. So yeah, I get the buying of luxury players like your Andersons or Alaias for that price that, you know, could go tits up basically. I agree that part you can't guarantee that they're going to hit the ground running if they've not played in this league before. But the Championship is almost that perfect feeder for the Premier League of the people that are used to the physicality of, you know, the Premier League. The Championship can be very similar. So yeah, on the one hand, I do agree, but then I disagree because the Championship is the next best thing.
James Clark, the 40 million budget was fake news. We are so skint, we are scrambling to save wages, shedding good fringe players and missing installments. Where's the Dean Gannon money? Sullivan's Claret Velvet Pocket. Right.
Velvet.
While I get someone on, Tom, are you able to get an accurate sub count for us this time?
Yeah, 13,980 of you currently subscribed. 20 away.
20 people. So if you're watching this stream, you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. We're 20 away from 14,000. It'll make us happy. Make us all happy. Hopefully we'll get it done before Gonzo arrives with his big bong. Not a euphemism. I've seen it. It's not big. Haven't seen it. Just to clarify. Tom has, though. Tom.
Whoa.
Anyway, Ray, what are you here to chat about? 28 minutes till the window shuts.
Well, I've been to the boats and I've not seen he's gone. Can I just point that out? So I don't know when you guys did it. He's bombed. Yeah. So what's going on? What's going on? Like, I've been closing down the bar in Liverpool. I haven't really seen what's happening in transfer, but it seems like we're buying absolutely no one.
Pretty much. You're up to date then.
And why the hell have we sold Josh Cullen and got rid of him? I just don't see the point. It's craziness. Absolutely craziness. Like, there's a waste of an opportunity of a youth player coming through the ranks. You know, as I said on the Patreon page, we should have got rid of Snodgrass, even if we took a hit on his wages, got Josh Cullen on another 2-3 year contract, played him in some of the games, his value would have tripled, quadrupled, gone up easily with the way he's been playing in the cup games. So it's just bad business sense. If they're talking about business and how to make money, it's craziness.
I just got a little text from someone saying Tomori is going right to the wire. So we'll wait and see. Maybe I won't give up on the Tomori thing just yet. We've got 28 minutes. So I'm giving up. I was giving up hope till that person just texted me. So I'm a bit more hopeful now.
Walcott just signed back for Southampton. Rapinha has been confirmed by Leeds as well. So there you go. Business
being done everywhere except at West Ham United by the sounds of it. I mean, this is interesting. This is chills. I think he's been a bit extreme, but Cullen's pony, but we needed him rather than Noble. And I think his point is somewhat there, which is it's a body, essentially. Even if he's not good enough, at least we have an option. And let's find out he's not good enough, because I don't think we've even done that, have we? We've not even discovered if he's good enough for that. I don't know. It's a very strange thing, the whole thing. Eddie Duffy, how much to sign the whole Czech national team? I mean, if we don't sign anyone, I don't see repercussions for Thomas Souček, actually. He cannot be our head scout and only identify one player the whole summer. It's just unacceptable, really, isn't it? Snazzy Cullen really isn't Pony's perfect replacement. And then just after, we've got apparently nothing says 3 managers can't be wrong about Cullen. He's right, though. 3 managers have looked at him and thought, nah, I don't fancy him, actually. Get him out of the club in one way or another.
But didn't he play well in the Cups? I know he didn't play against good opposition.
Yeah.
He played brilliantly.
But it was League One, though. Like,
the Bournemouth game, he was good when he come on as a sub.
Friendly, so...
I don't know.
I feel sorry for the lad. Yeah,
I think he deserves it. I think he deserved his chance.
Well, I feel sorry for him because he was set to play against Charlton. He was in the lineup to play, or Hull, whichever one came second. I forgot which order it was now. Hull. He was set to play against Hull, and then he got withdrawn just before kickoff. Had he played that game, I'm sure he'd have done all right. He would have then started against Everton. That's where we would have seen him get tested a little bit. Now you're in the midfield with just Mark Noble or just Robert Snodgrass, and you're up against 3 Premier League midfielders. What are you going to do? And I think if he played well, Moyes might have changed his mind. Moyes might have thought, all right, I've got something here. But that opportunity was taken from him with that virus. I just feel I think it's just a bit harsh, really. It's sort of like, well, you're not going to get a chance here. But this was as soon as we went out of the cup, this was the problem. You were looking at Cullen, you're looking at Snodgrass, you're looking at Felipe Anderson, and you're saying, well, when are you going to play these players? Because Moyes won't even make subs with the players he likes. So when are we ever going to see the players that can't even get into the squad? And I think since we went out of the cup, I think there was a case of let's trim the wage bill as much as we can. And it's risky. I think it's very, very risky. But David G. Howard, don't we have a buyback clause for Cullen? I don't know if it's a buyback per se. I think there's 2 clauses. I think there's a sell-on fee, and I think there's a clause. I don't know what it's called. Tom will probably know the wording from Football Manager. But if Club Bruges, for example, agree a £2 million fee, we automatically get to have a £2 million fee accepted as well. We can match whatever they offer and automatically accept. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what the thing is. The live chat are very split about Josh Cullen, to be honest with you. Ray, what about keeping Declan Rice, though? I think it's gone under the radar somewhat. I expected a bit more of a celebration from West Ham fans in keeping Declan. Maybe that'll come tomorrow or something, or perhaps it's just the big disappointment that we're not really getting anyone in.
I just don't think it was ever going to happen this summer. I think definitely next summer he's definitely going to go. And I think we've just had a few reassurances from like these shows and a couple of other shows where we're hearing in the nose term, his dad's turned around and said he's staying for this season. He's not pushing it. And I don't think Chelsea are going that extra step to get him into their team for this season. They're not willing to match the West Ham figure. So I do think next season is going to be a lot more tougher. There's one more less year on his contract. You know, another good season that he's going to be playing. A big team's going to have to come in for him. And I think we might just get away with another season. I think if he goes next season as well, a lot of fans will turn around and say, fantastic, Declan, you've done all you can for us. You stayed with us as long as you possibly can as well. You know, it's time for you to now go shine.
We've got Gary asking, is Anderson gone as well? No cover. We've not really heard much about Felipe Anderson in the last hour and a half. It was rumoured done. It was supposed to be done. He was supposed to have gone to Porto. And the reason was that he doesn't want to play under the current management. He's happy to come back to West Ham at some point in the future. He just doesn't want to play for the current management. But then Duncan, what's his face, the journalist, said that it's actually fallen through the last minute. But there's not really been much to say it's dead or to say it's gone through on Felipe Anderson. So we'll have to wait and see if he's gone to Porto or not. But that's also going to the wire as well, by the sounds of it. It's quite quiet. Jason Collins says DG confirmed it, but I don't know what he's confirmed. I know he said thanks to Jack Wilshere, which has wound up a lot of people. This is interesting though, just from Finn, just quickly. He says Portuguese window doesn't close until the 25th, so that's obviously then going to change things up a little bit. So
he can't play again for West Ham now if he said that, can he?
Well, he hasn't said anything. It's just rumours from a journalist, isn't it?
Which has probably been leaked, let's be honest.
Yeah, but
Oh, Jonas. Oh, David Sullivan.
well, that's what Cam suggests. Slide the manager off, then the move's cancelled. It's like telling your bird, "I'm leaving you," and then you go to your new fancy bird and you go, "You're right now." She's like, "No. I don't want commitment." And you're fuck. Go back and like, "I love you."
Fulham just signed a centre half as well. It's Joachim Anderson from Lyon, centre back, and Loftus Cheek as well has been confirmed. It's all happening around us.
That's not the one I meant to click on. Ignore that one a second. Here it is. Pete, I fucking think he's moving. I don't like this software. Pete, why has Anderson deal gone to today? Surely he could have gone on loan sooner. I don't think we were trying to loan him out. I think we were genuinely trying to get a fee for him. And it's come to the last day. I think they're trying to get as much wages off the books as possible to see exactly how much money we've got to play with for the likes of Tomori or something. And I think that's why we've left it to the last minute now. I think it's they're just trying to get wages. I think they've given up on trying to get transfer fees in. And then they're just trying to get wages off the books. Hence why we're paying Jack Wilshere £4 million to leave the club. How bad are you when you pay someone $4 million to leave your football club to save $1 million? Well, I say $1 million as if it's not much money, but I just don't think it is. Neil Warren saying if Rice is made full-time captain, given $100,000 a week contract, and we manage to get into Europa League, he might stay. There's only so many clubs that can afford him, though, isn't there? Like his value's only going to go up and up, and I don't know. Mulch Mike, Tomori deal is still on, even though there's only 20 minutes left. That's supposedly what's happening. It's going to be exciting. It's been a long time since we've had a bit of excitement on transfer deadline day. This is the one thing that annoyed me with Pellegrini and Usulos. We were organised. So
this is what happens when you leave your transfers to David Sullivan. It all goes to pot.
When it comes to deadline day, it was like, well, they've already spent the money. There's no one we're really getting in, kind of thing. I preferred the days of Slaven Bilic when we had Alex Song and Jelavic. He was a deadline day signing, weren't he? I can see Charlie in the background there. Charlie's in the backstage or whatever you want to call it. Said Jelavic, his head turned. He liked a bit of Nikita Jelavic. Emenike, he was I know he's transferred. Was he deadline day in January or was he just a January transfer? Emenike, I can't remember. But we used to have some good transfer deadline day excitement under Bilic at Upton Park. That's gone now. Peter, Tom, I'll let you answer this because I've been talking for ages. Has Snoddy gone or stayed?
He stayed.
Would you like to say that with a bit more confidence? With your chest out, perhaps, this time?
Snodgrass has stayed.
Yes, yeah, that's why I've got my iron broom celebrating Snodgrass remaining at West Ham. So we can play him centre midfield should anything happen to Vice. So check.
Set 7 more subscribers, by the way, and we could sign someone at 11 o'clock. It's about to go off in the deadline day stream.
Dean Marsh, Bournemouth deadline day. He was actually. I remember that because we must have had a game the next day. So I was travelling to London on deadline day, and I remember.
Do you really trust our board to get the paperwork done in the next 17 minutes to sign him? Just imagine David Sullivan on a goal just sat at home dithering about trying to get it signed. 17 minutes to get that in.
The worst thing is, I do to an extent, actually. I do think if it's there to be done, I actually think he'll get it done. The problem is, can he agree terms? I'm not so sure. If terms get agreed, then will they get done? I think so. There was someone that went to the wire. Who was it that went to there was someone, I think we might have missed out on him actually. A couple of years ago, I think it was a January transfer one for some reason. I remember it going to like the absolute wire and we just ran out of time at the end. I can't remember who, I don't know, it's going to bug me now. But yeah, I remember, what's this? Running out his pen without really cause. I hate when that happened.
Jordan Hugo.
That was the worst one. I remember doing that live show when we signed Hugo. None of us heard of him. We were all sitting there going, who's that? And then all the Preston fans were appearing in the live chat going, he's shit. You haven't even bought our best striker. We're not good. But this is a good point. BCWHU, this is a good point. You have to submit. I think you have to submit. There's a certain form you have to fill in, but I think it's basically an intent to get a deal done. And I think you do get an extension, and then you can do the medical tomorrow as well. You don't have to have the medical done tonight. It just needs to get a certain bits of paperwork in to get that extension. Elaine Dendonker, James has said Dendonker.
That was a saga and a half as well on deadline day. Yeah,
and then De Gea with the fax issue. Remember that one when they couldn't get the fax through or whatever? Man United couldn't sell De Gea.
That's what will happen with Sullivan tonight. I promise you, there'll be some issue. He fell over whilst reaching for his pen or something, and we won't end up signing him.
Crazy.
Nicola saying 9 out, 1 in is an absolute joke. Jacob Steinberg has said that West Ham are still trying to land Tomori on loan. Not long to go. Don't go to bed.
For Felipe Anderson, Lee Clayton's just said that Felipe Anderson will join Porto on loan for West Ham tomorrow. So,
for those who don't know, Lee Clayton is now at Talk Sport running the show over there. We get on all right with Lee, to be honest with you. I know he's not done himself too much favours having the Jim White show under his regime or whatever. I think there's an interview with Lee Clayton on our channel from about 3 or 4 years ago. He brought a book out. He brought a book out and he gave us a couple of the copies, and it's quite good actually. But he came on the Deadline Day show 2 years ago, maybe. He was in the office at what paper was it? Can you remember? He's a journalist somewhere. Telegraph, maybe? No. I think it was Daily Mail, wasn't it? It was the Daily Mail. He's a journalist at Daily Mail. He's quite high up there, and he came on and he had his office at Daily Mail. It was all West Ham. He came on the show to just do
How many players do we actually have in our squad then? I've just seen James. Is it actually 19 players then, without like the youth players that we have left out of the 25?
I don't know. You're gonna have to go sit and work it out now, aren't you?
That's genuinely abysmal. If it's 19 and 25, I bet we're the only squad in the Premier League that haven't got a full allocation. I bet my money on it at this point, which is nothing.
Injuries did we get last season as well?
How many what?
Injuries did we get last season?
Oh, fuck off, mate. Like, we know that. Jesus. Well, Fabianski got a big one, didn't he? Antonio always gets one.
Wilshere.
Eight wingers in the squad as well. So in reality, we've got 11 players that can play in all the other
7 now. Get rid of Anderson.
7.
Charlie Woodgate, do you boys think David Golds is on a wind-up tonight, or genuinely fucking clueless and out of touch?
I saw his tweet just now, and he's got some nerve. I'll say. I know he's just trying to sort of say, "Oh, good luck to that," and I know he has to kind of say it from an owner and a PR sort of perspective, but it just always feels like the timing with it is bad. And it's just like he sounds so happy when he tweets it. I know he's not, but it's just the way he's like, "Oh, good luck," DG signed it off. I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. I know he has to do it, but He doesn't have to do it, Tom, because whenever we lose a game, he's nowhere to be seen, is he? He fucks off pretty sharpish whenever we get beat. Very true.
I think someone should just take his phone away from him, to be honest with you. Dave, mate, just quit it. There's a thing on Kevin Bridges is my favourite comedian. Unsurprised. It's nothing to do with Scottish, it's just genuinely funny. Anyway, he was saying about how, do you know in the pub, there's always that old guy, you got to tap him on the shoulder and be like, all right, mate, when there's a top nonsense. Yeah. I think David Gold's a bit like that. I think you need to take his phone away from him and just say,
just go to bed, you old man.
That's enough. Let's just fucking quit. No, let's just knock this on the head, will you? All you're doing is pissing people off. You've
put your teeth out.
You've had about 10 retweets and 300 people have replied saying, along the lines of, leave our club. Just not as polite as that. I don't know why I'm keeping it PG after swearing for the last 5 minutes, but I've changed my ways for 30 seconds.
Yeah, fucking leave the club.
I was going to say, it sounded like Geo when he was at Coyote Ugly. Oh, mate. On we go.
Now's a good time to get rid of you, isn't it? come around here causing trouble. Ray, is there anything else you'd like to add or talk about before we depart you?
That photo of Geo in Liverpool. Or is it on the cameras outside of the...
Bye, Ray. That was Ray. Ray's having a good old whale of time now.
I just weed myself. That was so funny.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's Ray done. Right. So Gonzo's going to be in a minute. Tom, what's the live count on, Tom?
13,993 subscribers, and there are now over seven out of the 750 of you that are now in here to take us over 14,000 for the night. If you don't subscribe, Tomori won't sign in time. There you go.
If you do subscribe, Tomori still won't sign in time. But anyway, right, I'm going to kick Tom out in a minute, so I'm going to bring Charlie in. Tom, I'll bring you back. I just can't. I don't like these 4 people thing. I like it 3. I like it 3. So Tom,
basically, what was referencing is Geo when he went to Coyote Ugly.
Right, so that's Charlie gone as well. Turns out Tom's staying. Tom's getting to stay for a little bit longer, and we're going to bring him in. It is Gonzo. Have you been practicing your bong?
I've been asleep, so there's been no bonging.
You did this in a 24-hour live stream as well.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with you.
Hang on a minute, you did as well. You dipped off to bed and said you were going for a shower and went for 2 hours.
Yeah, he did deserve it because everyone's got more staying power than me. But obviously, I've missed quite a lot since I've been asleep.
Not really, I'm afraid.
It's absolutely nothing.
The latest for anyone joining us, though, the latest. Here we go. Barry, apologies been covered. Thoughts on Wilshere's comments. Gonzo, since we did the show earlier, it's been confirmed Jack Wilshere has now departed. He's definitely gone. He's put out his own little statement. I don't know if you've read it, but we've paid him just under 4 million. We've paid him to leave the club.
Yeah. I woke up about 20 minutes ago. I've had a cup of tea and caught up a little bit on Sky News and. Yeah, so they read out his comments. They seem to be making a bit more of a story out of it than I think there actually is. I quite understand that he would want to justify. He's just putting it out there that he's fit because he's got such a reputation for being unfit, and obviously that's why he's not featured for us. That's why he never got to make a reputation. I think had Moyes have walked into the club and Jack Wilshere had already played 50 games for us, was fit, he might have been used, but I think when Moyes came in, Jack Wilshere wasn't fit. He wasn't part of his plans. Also, I look at Cullen going and think, well, actually, how much does Moyes like a little skillful geezer in the middle? Probably not that much anyway. So he probably wasn't prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I think this is just Jack saying, look, the last 8 months I have been fit. I'm ready to go. Please give me a job, basically. That's all I saw it at, rather than a massive dig at anyone in particular. Yeah. And to be fair, he's in no position to have a massive dig because he has been injured for the majority of the time. Not the last 8 months, granted, but over half his time at the club, he has been injured. And as I understand it, we've given him an 85% payoff. So it's hardly like he's doing us a massive favour. I think we're giving him. He's basically what maybe I read it wrong. He's not getting a full 5 million for this season. He's getting almost 4 million. So he's come here. He's barely played. He's got 14 million quid. So he's got no position. He's in no position to start moaning. Really, I don't think.
Just got a text through. It looks like Tomori is off. There's 8 minutes to go in the transfer window, and it looks like Tomori, as it stands, will not be joining West Ham United. It was exciting for the last hour, really going to, but I think the worst thing is, the worst thing about this Tomori deal? There was fuck all faith. Nobody thought, oh, Tomori, yeah, I'm looking. Everyone thought, yeah, all right then. While we wouldn't mind seeing him, is it going to happen? Probably not. I think no one really believed that we were going to sign him. Viva Craig.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Tom's bed looks comfy. That's making me want to have a sleep again.
Sorry, no, I was kicking the dog out. She was whining. I think she had.
Nobody talk about your girlfriend. Fucking hell.
I'd be so lucky. I live in my bedroom.
He'd tidy it up. He'd make the bed if the lady was coming round.
No, he wouldn't even do that, would he? But yeah.
It's lovely and made. Always for
sorry. So, do you know what? I only saw the pillars, mate. The pillars don't look fully fluffed, if you know what I
mean. But saying that, apparently Jim White, on Sky Sports, Jim White is saying Tomori is still on. That's what the live chat is saying. I've got it there, but I don't know why I've got it on. It's on mute. The audio comes through. We're going to get a copyright strike, so it's on mute at the minute. I can see Harry and that laid back as hell.
It's the best way to listen to Jim White is on mute. So you're doing well, don't worry.
I agree, Scottish. What's it?
Oh yeah,
bloody jocks.
But Gonzo, The latest is from Lee Clayton that Felipe Anderson's likely to join Porto tomorrow. We discovered in live chat earlier that the Porto transfer window is open for another couple of weeks, so there's no real rush on their part to get it done.
Yeah, okay, well, good. Really, good for everybody, hopefully. Good for Felipe, as he's not going to play. He's particularly not going to play in this system. I don't think we were going to... He was struggling to get in even when we were playing with a left winger. Technically, we're not playing with a left winger now. We're playing with, sort of inside attacking midfielder, if you like, which I guess he could play, but he's not going to get in there. He's not going to play that role. Fornals is going to play that role, as we know. His confidence is completely shot, and I don't even think he's got belief in himself. New manager, new style of play, different league. I'm not going to insult him by saying the weather's had anything to do with it. He's crikey. It was at some points last year when the UK was as hot as Texas and he still couldn't dribble past a player. So the climate's got nothing to do with it at all, but just a new club for him. And hopefully he has and I wish him well. I really do. I want him to go there and be one of the best players in Portugal, because if he can do that, then we might actually see some of our money back. If not, so yeah, I do think it's good. It's good for everybody.
Tom, what do you make of the Felipe Anderson thing?
Just quickly, literally one more subscriber to the 14,000 mark. Yeah, I think it's the same as Gonzo.
Someone just make a fake account, for God's sake, please. Just take 10 seconds and make a fake account. Thank you. Carry on.
Yeah, no, it was a massive price that we paid for him, and if he can sort of smash it out there in Portugal, obviously he speaks the language, he speaks the lingo. It should fit in with quite a few Brazilians that play over there in Porto as well. Hopefully he can drive that price up for us and we can sort of get some of our money back. I don't know what it was that changed him, because he had such a first sort of 6 months, or I say it was the first couple of weeks, he didn't really sort of play very well. But then as soon as he sort of started scoring that goal against United, he hit form and he was unbelievable for those 6 months. He was one of the best players in the league. He looked like he was, really going to kick on. His price was really high that summer. Real Madrid was supposedly interested in him. And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know whether his confidence was shot for some reason. I don't know, the Moyes being the manager, and then, you would have thought in an attacking system that Pellegrini wanted to play, that he would have fit in nicely. He finally had the striker in Haller to potentially feed and get the goals and assists. And I mean, it took him to Bournemouth on New Year's Day last year to actually finally score a goal. It's just really confusing. It's a real curious case as to what happened to him. But look, if he can absolutely smash it in Portugal, then hopefully we can try and recoup some of the 35, 40 million or whatever it ended up being that we spent on him. But unfortunately for him, I'm genuinely a bit clueless as to why it hasn't worked out for him over the last season.
The reason it's been rushed along on the Porto side of things is because they need to name their Champions League squad. They want to get Felipe Anderson in so that when they name their Champions League squad, they can name Felipe Anderson in that 25-man squad for that competition. Makes a bit more sense now, hence why the window's still open for another 3 weeks, but they're rushing it. As for Felipe Anderson, I've never really taken to him. I've never really been a big fan of him. And I know at times it didn't go down well, particularly when he was playing well. I still remember that question I had to answer on the boats, Gonzo, when someone said, why do some fans not love Felipe Anderson? I thought, you might as well just direct it at me. I could feel it. I felt it. Like, you might as well say, why do you not love Felipe Anderson? But I just never took to him. And I know, Tom, you're saying you don't know why it worked out. I'll tell you why it didn't work out, because that's what we bought. Lazio fans warned us. As soon as it come, Lazio fans said...
Oh, no, I know it's they're blowing hot and cold, but I didn't think it was going to be like 6 to 7 months between the hot and cold spells. I thought it was kind of like he goes missing every couple of weeks. But to go missing for...
Yeah, one good game, 3 bad ones. Not
6 or 7 months.
He did that for times. I think he tried hard enough and stuff. He's just not cut for the Premier League. I think it's too tough for him. I think he'll do all right in Portugal, particularly for Porto. When you get plenty of time on the ball, you get plenty of space on the ball as well. I think he'll look good over there. Hopefully, like you said, he'll put his price tag up a little bit. But I think I'm just glad that we've picked what looks like a good club to loan him out to in order to get his transfer fee up. It'd be stupid loaning him to another Premier League club or something, because we might save his wages for a year, but then we'd be in the same problem we are in a year's time, which is we
But
can't.
it'll be playing Champions League football as well, which is a plus. I think they should have probably made it into the Champions League, which obviously helps him and us as well. But I will say, when you said there about he didn't adapt to the strength of the Premier League, the first season he was here, there was the game up at Newcastle when Chicharito scored 2 and he scored the final one. The goal that he scored, I remember when he was running through on goal and the centre back was coming out to him. For the life of me, I don't know if it was Cher or someone else, and he barged him off the ball to go through and slide it under Dubravka's legs. And I actually thought that at that point that it had taken him a while, but I felt like he was finally understanding the strength of the Premier League, and that's why he was sort of slowly.
I didn't say he didn't adapt to the Premier League. I said he didn't like the physicality of it, the strength of it, and I stand by that. He balled it far too much times. I've seen him bottle 60-40 challenges in his favour, where all he had to do was touch the ball and he'd have it. He got out the way. He would run past a player and stop and let the player catch up with him and stuff. He was just a complete shadow of a footballer, not even of himself, just of a footballer in general. And so it's bad recruitment in the end. For us to spend, I don't think we've ended up having to pay all the add-ons and stuff. It still costs the club over £30 million to have him here for a year, 2 years. It's just not good enough. But anyway, we've been waiting for this moment, Gonzo. It's now 11 p.m. The transfer deadline's shut. I think we need a bong.
I'm not going to do a bong. I've got to say it different. I've got to say it different. I've got a bong, boing, bong. I've got boom, 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 bong.
Thanks for the countdown.
That's better. That's
do you know what that just reminded me of?
Sex.
No, well, I mean, wild assumption with me, but no. Did you remember that? Remember that kid on ITV this morning that said she could replace Big Ben's bong sounds?
I missed that.
Have you never seen that?
Too.
No, I haven't.
Me and Gonzo go to work. We don't have time. we don't have time.
That's it then. Oh,
yeah. We're not watching Loose Women in the day. No.
Copyright strike now coming in from Countdown.
Can you imagine how good would that impression be if we got a copyright strike from it?
I'd be a bit annoyed if I've sat here. I'd be a bit annoyed if I've sat here for 2 hours with Tom trying to guess. You rock up with 10 minutes for one job. You don't even do the right job, and you get the whole video taken down.
How do you lose all the subscribers?
I would be fuming.
Can I just say that we actually did?
I wouldn't be laughing.
We actually did tick over to 14,006 subscribers, and now we're back under 14,000.
It was the impression.
Doug, thank you for the £3 in the biscuit fund. He says Gonzo's bong sounds like West Ham's window.
James Gunn gets it. That bim bom. That's what she did on ITV. Oh. So James must not have a job as well.
That's right. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I may go through a clip of it actually. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We'll start summing this one up. The transfer window is still open tomorrow for domestic players, non-Premier League domestic players. That is basically it's Craig Dawson time tomorrow, really, isn't it? Personally, Benrahma. Here we go. Charlie Woodgate's gone out and done the numbers. Done your research for you, gents. 19 senior players in our squad, including 2 goalkeepers and 7 wingers. What kind of Premier League squad is that? A relegation-worthy one. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on the general overall of the transfer window? I know it's a bit difficult because we've got the Championship. We have to assume we're going to start trying to recruit 1 or 2 from there. But as it stands,
I'm expecting a bit of a backlash actually, and I certainly feel that Sullivan, and I keep saying Sullivan, I will lay the blame at Sullivan's door. I think Sullivan looks for any opportunity he can to look for a route out of anything, and in particular spending money. And I sincerely think if we hadn't have won our last 2 games, we would have signed somebody today. Anybody, we just would have made a signing. I think he's seen an out. I think he's seen an avenue, and he's thinking, I'm going to take that and I'm going to walk down that. And funny enough, I've just been texted by Ryan, who I hope is watching this. Hello, Ryan, if you are. And he just said, "What do you think of the Sullivan masterclass?" And I cannot believe. I can believe. I don't want to say I cannot believe. I can believe precisely what's happened now. And the worst thing is, everybody knew what was going to happen. And I wasn't lying when I said I fell asleep on the sofa. I fell asleep on the sofa and I woke up because my missus woke me up and she said, "Haven't you said you got to link up with the boys at 11?" I said, yeah, I have. And she said, and all she's been doing, she's been sat on the sofa with her phone. Basically, she touched on Sarah and said, I don't think you've signed anyone. She said, but you said you never usually do you, on transfer deadline day? She has no interest, but even she knows that, right? So I couldn't be bothered to have the conversation about Hugo. It's probably not wasn't the right time to be pernickety about it. But it's more of the same. It's very, very consistent. Look, I agree with what Charlie said there about the composition of the squad. I don't think we're getting relegated, and I think Sullivan's thanking his lucky stars for that, but he's exploiting that. He's taking advantage of it, certainly. In terms of the lopsided squad, well, I think it might have been the Pink Palermo that said this when he was on Graham's podcast the other day. And he turned, hello, Charlie, and he turned round and he said that actually when Sullivan came in on his first day, in his first press conference, he talked about bringing players in. He said, look, the club, at number one, are saddled with debt. He said, at number two, we have a completely lopsided squad, which is completely unbalanced. And you fast forward to now, 10.5 years later, and the club's in debt, and we have a squad that's completely imbalanced. So there you go.
Charlie, what's your thoughts on transfer window in general?
It's been really bad. Like I said, I genuinely can't believe it's gone as badly as it has. I mean, even by their standards, I mean, they're under more pressure now than they ever have been before. Like, it was bad against Burnley when Bubbles ran onto the pitch. It's much worse for them now because people are much more unified. There's a lot more directed anger as opposed to before. The one thing that Hammers United, everything else, really funneled it in to be as direct at that as possible. And yet they've managed to pull off, as you've just put it, a Sullivan masterclass in that it's gone from bad to worse. They've managed to take a squad that survived last season by the skin of their teeth and make it a lot weaker for no real reason. They keep talking about money like they needed the money that badly. You don't. You're billionaires. You've tried to steal it from the fans to begin with. Then you try to take it from the players. And it's like, bro, okay, then why are you getting rid of all of these random other players? You got the money back. You had the money that you supposedly needed so badly, you definitely saved. And yet here we are in a situation where you're still just chopping random people off the team out of nowhere that could be useful in our season. And I'm not even talking about Felipe Anderson, who I'm a much more bigger fan of than other people. I'm talking about Josh Cullens. I'm talking about people like that who would have given 10,000% on that football pitch. Even if you didn't think they were good enough, you cannot say for a second they wouldn't have put every single ounce of effort into that for the sake of 800 grand and whatever amount of money he's on a week. It's insanity. I can't believe they've done it. I really genuinely can't.
Charlie, this one's for you from James. As you can see, it's Craig Dawson got Hugo vibes about him, where the club are ashamed to announce him.
No one has Hugo vibes because he's a beautiful man, and no one will ever replace the amount of love I have in my heart for him. Look, Craig Dawson. I said this on the thing yesterday, and I got a lot of pelts for it. He's fine. He's okay. He's, as a centre back, he's nothing special, but he doesn't improve our team. He's just an extra body in the squad in case other people get injured. Craig Dawson's not going to start. When he starts, he'll probably be. You'll look at him and you go, yeah, that's a 6 out of 10 performance. And he's never going to be unreal and he's never going to be horrendous. But it's just like, it's nothing that we couldn't have got from other people it's just insane. It's just the cheap option and it makes no sense why. It just makes no sense.
We'll start wrapping this up in a minute. There's a few things that irked me about today. First of all is giving Jack Wilshere £4 million to leave the club. I pray that this is a David Moyes decision and it's done through personnel, i.e. I do not want this guy in my squad, get rid of him, and it's not done through a financial decision, which is David Sullivan saying you're not getting that guy in your squad because I can save £1 million. It's the equivalent of £20,000 a week. Okay, I'd much rather have had Jack Wilshere available to David Moyes for the season than no player, which is currently what we're at. This ties into the Josh Cullen thing for the same reasons. Our centre midfielder options this morning were Souček, Rice, Snodgrass, Noble, Wilshere, and Cullen, and then you're down to Conor Coventry. Tonight is Rice, Souček, Snodgrass, Noble, then you're down to Conor Coventry. We've lost 2 centre midfielders tonight. The 2 are mobile centre midfielders. I know Jack Wilshere's injury prone, blah, 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 but when he's fit, he's mobile. We've lost the 2 players that have that mobility about them, and we've still got the 2 33-year-olds who we just saw get dragged from pillar to post at Goodson Park last week. We witnessed it. We witnessed that they cannot play in a 2 together. That is possibly going to be our midfield 2 in a Premier League fixture soon. The only bright side is small silver lining is a Declan Rice thing, but also the January transfer window is only 11 weeks away. It's not that long between the transfer windows this time round. That is, I know it sounds really stupid, but it is a small silver lining. The Joe Rodon thing bugs me so much for reasons I already said earlier about the Red Bull model. But Gonzo wasn't here, and there's now 800 people watching live. Hello, subscribe if you haven't already. But the Joe Rodon thing just it bugs me so much because sometimes things happen. You take that out, you think this just sums up the club right now. That one thing you could, for people, be giving Jack Wilshere $4 million to leave the club. Others will be Josh Cullen. For me, it's Joe Rodon. We've actually identified this player and looked at him. Now, actually, go back first. David Moyes has walked up and said, I want the Red Bull model at West Ham. We have gone and identified a young centre-back, British, and said, he'll be good in 12 to 18 months. The Red Bull model is buying players that will be good in 12 to 18 months, getting them in, making them good, and selling them for a profit. We've literally identified one of the players to fit this so-called project we want to undertake and decided not to do it because he's not good enough yet. So what are we wanting? The manager wants one thing. The chairman doesn't understand what the manager wants and wants something completely different. And it's just baffling how we can go forward with this. I don't understand. We've been told there's rumours of them to not getting along with their transfer targets and stuff. Well, it's been proven. It's just been proven because we've literally just finished a transfer window with no centre-back. And I don't give a fuck if we sign Craig Dawson tomorrow because I don't believe for 1 second that they had a conversation 3 weeks ago and they decided Craig Dawson's our number one target. Yeah, we're going to go for Craig Dawson. Yeah, let's go for Craig Dawson. I don't believe it for a second. Craig Dawson is plan Z. He's the last resort. So to get there, we went from Tarkowski's our number one target. It was a clear, identified number one target. When that wasn't happening, we suddenly bid for about 20 centre-backs. Who was the number two target? Nobody knows. I'm not even convinced Sullivan knows. I'm not even convinced David Moyes knows. So Moyes would have had a wish list. I don't believe for 1 second David Moyes did not have a wish list 1 to 10. How he plans and prepares for every football match, the way he dithers on transfers. You tell me Moyes, who has this reputation for dithering. We had the Everton fan on earlier who told us that. I keep saying it, you keep saying it, you keep saying it. The live chat keeps saying it. So how he goes from dithering to, let's just get anyone. It doesn't add up whatsoever. I think David Sullivan's looked at post-lockdown form under David Moyes and thought, we're all right. We've got a Premier League squad here. We went to TalkSport and said the exact same thing. Since then, we've thumped Wolves, we've thumped Leicester, and the bugger's sitting there thinking, I don't need to buy players. This is a Premier League club. This is a club. This is a team. This is a squad that will comfortably stay in the Premier League. I think he believes that hand on heart. And I agree with him, providing the first 11 stay fit. Do I believe the first 11 will stay fit? No. And that's why I am very nervous. There's a few players in that first 11 that are irreplaceable. We don't have players to replace Declan Rice. We don't have a player to replace Solchek, Ogbonna, and Antonio. I'm a bit worried, to be honest with you. That's all. It's not a disaster of a window. A disaster would have been Declan Rice leaving. But I just think it's very naive and unnecessarily risky, if you like. Anyway, Gonzo, can I get your final words? And we're going to start wrapping this up. I've got one thing I want to do before we leave, so can I get your final words, Gonzo?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Firstly, on the Felipe Anderson thing, I think it also has to be put into our minds that he's gone to a leading club in his country, so he's not. He came to a struggling club at West Ham. We've struggled most of the time, despite our last couple of results. I think Felipe Anderson needs to be in a top side. And what do you got? Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, Porto. The majority of the rest don't really compete and contest that league. So I think that's going to be really, really good for him to be in a team that is on the front foot, that scores lots of goals, that has the majority of possession, and plays in the style that he probably wants. So I think that's a really good thing. I prefer him to go to the best team in Portugal rather than go into a mid-table team in Germany, let's say. So I think that one is particularly good. With the Joe Rodon thing, I tell you now, we could have got him last week and he would have come. And that would have happened last week. We could have got him. And I think that is going to be something that we really rue for quite some time. In terms of the whole transfer window, I think this is... The trouble is we might win our next game, right? I know it's against Tottenham. Tottenham look brilliant. I would suggest possibly won't. If we do win our next game, two things are going to happen. Sullivan is going to feel vindicated, right? Everyone is going to be in a bit of a better mood, and we should be. If we win our third Premier League game on a trot, we should feel good about it. But what will happen is there will be a number of people, and our own fans included, who say, what were you moaning about? Because this is what happens. It's that whole mindset of people don't moan about the stadium when we're winning and stuff like that. And, you're not complaining now, are you? And the thing is, your concerns don't suddenly go away. And then I look at somebody like Aston Villa, and not because they're top of the league, by the way, or second in the league, or wherever they might be at the moment, but I look at their recruitment, and Matty Cash, I look at them bringing Ross Barkley, and we spoke about both players on this very channel. Both players, good players. I like both players.
Martinez.
Absolutely, yeah. Ollie Watkins, and, good players. And you think, okay, they're doing something. They have a strategy, and they're just looking... They're looking to buy and they're looking to strengthen. And I think if there's one hallmark of this whole transfer window, it's a case of we have played the Pauper Oliver with the begging bowl, please, sir, can I have some more? But we seem to be the only people that are affected by this COVID financial crisis. I wouldn't argue, by the way, if everybody was struggling because nobody had fans going through the turnstiles and nobody had spent any money and it was just a load of loan deals going around, you wouldn't hear a peep at me about it. In fact, I would say, no, come on, this is happening. But we're the only ones that seem to be struggling. I don't know. I've not seen the list of everybody that's done business, but we've got to be at the bottom, right? I would imagine in terms of we just seem to have got rid of loads and we brought one person in. And that one person we brought in, we spent £5 million on. Now, he looks like a good player. Don't get me wrong. But we always hear when it's going the other way, how we have to spread payments. We always hear when we owe money, we still owe money on such and such a player because we have to pay each year. You have to pay over the length of the contract. We brought this geezer in on a 4-year contract for £5 million. That's £1.25 million a year. Is that all we've got to spend? I think we may have spent on him what we got for a jetty. I don't know, something like that. I just don't think I think it's good enough. I think we're running the shoestring. And I'll tell you what, you keep on playing this game, and at some point you're going to get caught out. And it's just more of the same, Gio. More of the same.
Dean Marsh there with a quote that was on the official website after selling Grady Diangana. The money received for Grady will be reinvested entirely in the team in line with the manager's targets. The best thing is, it's funny, two or three people have said we spent $5 million on the right back. I've kept wanting to butt in and say it, but the funny thing is we spent $5 million on the right back. We spent $4 million to get rid of a player. We spent nearly the same to remove one of our players from the club as we did to bring one in. That was Sky Cava on Sky Sports News, obviously. Cava is just saying there that Tomori did not want to join West Ham. Tomori refused. He rejected West Ham United. Another centre-back. Everybody's rejected West Ham. Nobody wants to come.
At what point does that become embarrassing? At what point do you start to look at yourself? Because we get this all the time. Everything is blamed. Wilshere, when Wilshere came in, the owner straight away blamed Pellegrini. It was Pellegrini that wanted him. Do you remember him saying that? Pellegrini that wanted him. He was the one that put him. We didn't want him. We only want to give him a 1-year deal. Pellegrini wanted to give him a 3-year deal. He blames everything on everyone else. At what point do you not start to look at yourself and think, well, hold on, this is the second centre-back that we know about, by the way, in this window, who's turned around and said, I just don't want to play for West Ham United. Sorry?
That's just Chelsea. The ruler goes there as well.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And Tarkowski said it as well. And it's, at what point do you have the ability to look at yourself and think, do you know what, maybe this is me. Maybe this is the perception of the club. Maybe I'm not doing things right. At what point do you look around your contemporaries? It doesn't matter what job you do. You should look at your people who do a similar job to you and think, how are they doing? How are they doing? And how am I doing compared to them? That, don't matter whether you're a plumber or driving a bus or whatever, you should be looking around thinking, what do I have to do to excel in this field? And surely Sullivan should be looking at the other Premiership chairman, the other Premier League 19 chairman, and he should be looking at him and thinking, hold on, they're doing a bit better than me here, but he won't.
This is my point. Why would a deal for a player drag on like that if he doesn't want to join? It takes 5 minutes to establish. I completely agree with him. How have we only discovered tonight that Tomori didn't want to come? That would insinuate we identified Tomori as a legitimate target 5 hours ago. Because if he was on the short list of players a month ago, we'd already sounded this out to rule him out or not. I said, yeah, he does want to come. He doesn't want to come. Sorted. So then you work your way, you filter your players out, don't you? So the fact that we've only just discovered tonight Tomori doesn't want to come, we'd insinuate we've only just decided today Tomori is now a transfer target, which would back up the theory, scattergun. And how far down the fucking list are we? Are we now on player 30? We've been linked with numerous centre-backs right now, and none of them are the same. Tomori and James Tarkowski are two completely different centre-backs as well. What kind of centre-back are we even trying to sign? I think we're literally just trying to sign a centre-back. Say, there you go, Dave, there's a centre-back for you. Get on with it. It's just bonkers. Look, you wouldn't give a joiner 10 hammers and say, there you go, make something. He's going to turn around and say, well, I need a saw. Oh, what? I got you 10 tools. What's the problem here? Doesn't really matter what tools I got you, does it? Just get on with it. How he can... We're just going after different centre-backs and we can't even attract any of them. It's just embarrassing, really. It's really bad that we are now... I'm now nervous we can't attract Craig Dawson. It's got to the point I'm actually hoping we can get Craig Dawson in. Please, can we get Craig Dawson in? Can we please sign Craig Dawson?
If we can't even flesh our knickers at Craig Dawson and make him have a little twinkle in the eye, we're in trouble, aren't we?
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, Charlie, can I get your final thoughts? We'll start wrapping this up soon.
Yeah, the Rodon thing is wild because it's like, even if you're looking at him and saying, right, in 12 to 18 months, he's going to be a good Premier League player, surely as an owner, that's the player you want to go for. When A, they're cheaper, and B, if you're looking at it really cynically, that means you get it to sell him on for more down the line. It's profit making. Surely that's what you do. It's like with Diop. You signed him for 20 million, 22 million, whatever it was. And then when you sell him, you hope you can get more from him, right? Now, even now, when he's dipped down a lot from what he was being quoted at, you're still probably going to make a profit off him. Surely that's what you look at. Surely you look at him and say, actually, we need a centre-back. He's probably, he's got some of the tools to at least make it because you're identifying them and saying that means he's going to make it, which means they must be evident at some level. Why would you then not go and do the deal? None of it makes any sense from any angle. You look at it and you just say, well, here's someone who's horrendously out of their depth in David Sullivan, who doesn't know what he's doing and doesn't understand what the hell is going on at the time. Because like you say, 18 different centre-back targets, they're probably all completely different. None of them have worked together. They all do different things. What are you saying?
They're not even the same age. Some are like 19, some are nearly 30. Some have played Champions League football. Fofana, 19 appearances done, period. He's only played 19 games for his club. Now, he's gone to Leicester and stuff, but that just insinuates how bad we are. When we bid 23 and said, you've got a day, take it or leave it, and they went, oh, we'll leave it then. Leicester said 40 million. Yeah. That's how undervalued we went in for Fofana, and we went in with our chest out, and we went in and said, take it or leave it. There's our offer. It's the William Cavallo thing all over again. Give us him, or we're going to loan a player from PSG. We'll go loan a player from PSG then. Doesn't bother us. The thing is, at least then we had some sort of half plan. Granted, he ended up going to West Brom, but this window would even have one of those. Brad Beal, when the choice is no football this year or West Ham, and the player would rather not to play football, we're in serious trouble. Irish Tommy, every team will now be turning their attention to the Championship, so it won't get any easier. The thing is, I'm not even sure they will, Tommy, because
they've got their business done.
Most teams have got their business done. Villa are looking at their squad quite content with it, thinking, yeah, we're all right with this. We've done our business. There is some clubs that'll be looking at the Championship. Burnley haven't really got any players in their stuff. Or there might be one or two of the few left over, a little bit left over Lawley that might have an injury or something to crop up in the next week, and they think, right, we might need to dip in there. But I'll tell you something, one club moves for Benrahma, the rest will move. Crystal Palace will be watching that like a hawk. They've got money. We know Crystal Palace have got money. I don't know.
This happens time and time again, though. And it's the same thing. It's like, Gonza, you asked the question of when do you figure out that you're actually the problem and not everyone else? This same sort of nonsense happens every single window. How many times do we see a player that we're after and then eventually someone agrees it, then Crystal Palace agrees a deal, then this team agrees a deal, then that team agrees a deal? Like, it happens time and time again. They know they're the problem because the truth is that when we signed Joe Hart, David Sullivan's all too happy to be like, guys, nailed it, didn't I? Look at me. and then the second it goes wrong, he stops talking.
But Charlie, wouldn't that make you feel crap? Constantly missing out, and then seeing someone getting the better of you. Eventually, that would make you feel crap, and you'd have a look at what you were doing wrong, right?
It would make a smart person feel stupid. Yes, it would, Gonzo. It's weird how that works. And yet we've got a man in charge. Probably not one of them. I mean, I've seen the decorations in his house. Look, the truth is it's just the case of like, we have a guy who thinks he's better than he is, but doesn't understand that and refuses to understand that. That's why he got rid of Huselos. You're like, oh, we'll get someone in who can actually do their job, and then he does his job, and you go, nah. Look how that went. It doesn't work. He doesn't know what he's doing at any point. You just have to look at the sequence of managers we've had. It's not just centre-back targets. It's literally everything he does. You go from one manager to the next, who's one style to the next. I mean, we were talking about how little possession, you were talking about it, Gonzo, how little possession we had in the match with David Moyes in charge. That's literally the exact opposite of Pellegrini's philosophy. Like, you could not get two polar opposite managers in Pellegrini to David Moyes. And then what happened when Pellegrini went? We left it until there was one option left on the table, and it was the guy who was the exact opposite. And yet somehow he looks at it and thinks it's the way to go. I don't understand how. Well, I do understand it's because he's an idiot. Like, the truth is that's just the case. Because otherwise you wouldn't do that. If you had anything up here, you wouldn't look at that and go, actually, this is what you do.
But there's some players that we've targeted this summer, apparently, like Madipan and Monaco, who were scouted by Pellegrini and Huselos. So we're trying to sign players that Pellegrini and Huselos scouted for David Moyes, even though we've seen that they're different. Adam Nichols, it scares me how all the players we approach have completely different attributes. We don't seem to look at what kind of players we are after. I do think, though, Sullivan is very lucky. Sofal had a good debut at Leicester. If Sofal was crap, it would have been, people would have blown out. Hang on a minute, who is this right back? We've gone and signed someone on the. We have literally signed someone on the basis of our centre midfielder recommending him to us. I'm not even confident we've gone and done our due diligence on this guy. I'm not even confident Moyes has met him before it. He's probably watched some tapes, as Sullivan calls it. But we have literally signed someone in January, and he's turned out to be pretty good. And somehow there's a conversation that's developed that the midfielder has felt obliged to recommend a right back to us. So we've gone to him and said, do you know any right backs by any chance, Thomas? He goes, well, actually, as a matter of fact, my former teammate's not bad. Some conversations taking place, which probably shouldn't take place in the first place. We've then taken his recommendation and gone and had a little look and put it on the back burner until Felix got injured. Then we panicked and went and bought him anyway. And almost... We've just put a blindfold on and picked up a dart and thought, I just hope I hit the fucking board here. And we're throwing it. Turns out we're not too far away at the minute. We've maybe hit a 17 or something. But Craig Dawson is not a 17. I know that for sure. And we've got the blindfold off for that one. James Gunn, Rodon, Cantwell, Buendia, Capui, Grimes, Henry, Benrahma, Da Silva, all good players in the Championship. Wonder who we're going to end up with. Stuart Miller, Anderson doesn't want to play for this management team, so we're going to keep loaning him out for the foreseeable. And for those that don't know, the parting shot put out by the journalist that broke the news that he was away to Porto was that Felipe Anderson is open to playing for West Ham United in future. However, he does not want to play for the current management team. Then added into Jack Wilshere's comment earlier, so there's a double blow for David Moyes tonight from players departing West Ham United. I agree with Gonzo with the Jack Wilshere thing. He's clearly got to say, I am fit. He can't say, oh, yeah, I've been injured for the whole time I've been here, bar the last 2 weeks. So he's clearly got to say something. But we're definitely going to start. But we could keep going and going and going. But let me get this man in. Tom. Just a big thank you to everybody tonight for joining us. 14,000 subscribers we hit tonight. So it's quite I thought it was quite nice to finish up with these three, given that, well, Tom joined... What, 1,000 subscribers?
No, 300.
1,000 subscribers, thank you.
300? 300, thank you.
I had to mute him. There we go. I think I've muted him. What's that, Tom? 1,000? Yeah, good man. Right, okay.
100. Oh, wait, no.
Don't do that mime. That's a terrible mime.
No, we're trying to count down.
He's gone for the double.
Something's going to get us banned tonight. It's not countdown, it's you. Charlie was on our very first video with me and Gonzo, so that was quite nice to finish the video like this. 14,000 subscribers. So thank you very much, boys. Well done. Thank you to everybody in live chat. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We'll keep going. We're not stopping it for you. Thanks
That's
Thanks
See
for
you
the
later.
memories.
And we'll end it there then. Charlie, Tom, Gonzo, I'll see you in a bit.
See you later. Have thumbnail.